wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé ló ó wáyé fún mi lọ ọ̀bọ̀ bọ̀bọ̀lẹ̀ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́nu lórúkọ rẹ̀ ó wáyé fún. wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí ibò àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn ìpè kò lè pọ̀ sí ọ̀rọ̀ òṣì wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé ló ó wáyé fún mi lọ ọ̀bọ̀ bọ̀bọ̀lẹ̀ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́nu lórúkọ rẹ̀ ó wáyé fún. wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí ibò àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn ìpè kò lè pọ̀ sí ọ̀rọ̀ òṣì wẹ́rẹ́ o.
tiwantiwa kò ní lè parun àṣà Yorùbá ò gbọ́dọ̀ parun YNFF Board of Trustees náṣọ nígbà wa ò ìdíje àṣà wa.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni àṣà àtìṣe wa ò ní parun láíláí. ìdí nìyí tí YNFF Board of Trustees ṣe ń ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ eré ìdíje àṣà àtìṣe Yorùbá nípínlẹ̀ mẹ́jọ ìpínlẹ̀ Kogi, Kwara, Èkó, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó, Èkìtì, Ọ̀yọ́ àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn làwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tídíje bíi ayò ọlọ́pọ́n, ìjàkadì, ijó ìbílẹ̀, ìdíje ẹwà àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ yóò ti máa wáyé. ọ̀sẹ̀ kẹta nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án nìdíje ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yóò máa wáyé. àwọn tó bá gbégbá orókè ló pegedé fún àṣekágbá nínú oṣù kẹwàá. ẹni sọ lẹ́nu sàpò ìyàkọ́ odò tó bá gbàgbé orísun ṣetán láti parun ni. ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọ gbárùkù tìdíje àṣà àtìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yìí fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé tàbí ẹ fẹ́ ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ tàbólùrànlọ́wọ́ ẹ lè kàn sí Mr. Olú lórí +44 73 93 15 98 82 tàbí T-Best lórí +2348 16 04 95 979 Mr. Wasiu Aina +134 7500 9472 Ajia Queen Ara +44 7946 313160 Mrs. Roslyn +1416 992 2189. aṣọ ìbílẹ̀ nìkan la yàn láàyò níbi àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí. ìdíje àṣà àtìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn ọdún 2023 YNFF Board of Trustees ló ní àṣà àtìṣe wa ò ní parun láéláé.
tiwantiwa kò ní lè pa.
ẹ jáde wá ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ sọ̀rọ̀ sókè lọ́dẹ̀ yóò fòmìnira wa.
Yorùbá wà lọ̀rọ̀ ìkàn pátápátá la sì ń lọ gbọ́ ẹ̀tàn tantan sétí ọmọ aládé gbogbo nígbàgbọ́ wípé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń gbọ́ lẹ́yìn náà mọ̀ sọ fún àwọn yòókù kárí ilé kárí oko tí gbogbo wọn sì péjú pésẹ̀ síbi ìwọ́de àlágbá yamuyamu làlújá tó ń bọ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Amẹ́ríkà yìí ti Yorùbá Nation Diaspora Mega Rally in alliance with Yorùbá World Media àti Yorùbá Nation Self-Determination arapọ̀dọ̀ kan ṣàgbékalẹ̀ New York Super Mega Rally ọjọ́ mẹ́ta gbáko ló máa fi wáyé bẹ̀rẹ̀ látọjọ́ ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday ọjọ́ kọkàndínlógún oṣù kẹsàn-án títí di ọjọ́bọ̀ Thursday ọjọ́ kọkànlélógún oṣù kẹsàn-án bákan náà látago 7 òwúrọ̀ títí di agogo 4 ìrọ̀lẹ́ New York Times láti máa péjú pésẹ̀ gbóhùn sókè rárá fáyé gbọ́ wípé ó tó gẹ́ Yorùbá self-determination is our right Yorùbá fẹ́ dá dúró a fẹ́ kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀tàn a fẹ́ kúrò nínú ìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjà tá a sì ń rọ gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa jákèjádò àgbáyé tó ń bọ̀ wá síbi rálì yìí wípé ká pàdé lọ́jọ́rú 20 oṣù kẹsàn-án ní rally location 78 UN General Assembly 405 West 45 Street New York City New York 10017 fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí i tàbí fún ọ̀kan ọ̀jọ̀kan ìbéèrè tẹ́ bá ní ẹ kàn sí wa látòrí èyíkéyìí wẹ́bsáìtì yìí www.megarally.org tàbí www.yorubaworldmedia.com ó sì lè jẹ́ www.ysdm.org bákan náà ni ẹ lè pè tàbí kẹ́ fi àtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ sọwọ́ sí Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa lórí +1 803 846 1116 Mrs. Jùmọ̀kẹ́ Ògúnlẹ́yẹ lórí +1 347 703 7819 Dr. Sabi lórí +447 440 715 542 Mr. Gani Alágbàlá lórí +1 713 875 3339 koikimedia lórí +447 594 050 979 Ìyálóde YSDM lórí +447 442 177 677 Mr. Abiodun Òjó lórí +1 347 301 8360. ẹ má gbàgbé wípé a fẹ́ kí gbogbo ènìyàn tó bọ̀ lágbàáyé ti wà ní sẹpẹ́sẹpẹ́ ní venue lọ́jọ́ Wednesday 20 oṣù kẹsàn-án lọ́jọ́ tó jẹ́ D-Day gan láti sọ fún gbogbo ayé wípé ó tó gẹ́.
sọ̀rọ̀ sókè lọ́dẹ̀ yóò fòmìnira wa.
wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí Ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí ibò àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe. Wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè bọ́ sí ọ̀rọ̀ òṣì wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o. Bàbá bá mi ṣe. Wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ. Ó wáyé fún mi lọ. Ọ̀bọ̀ bọ̀bọ̀lẹ̀ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́nu.
Fún gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó lè máa tiraka, Ọlọ́run ló ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó lè máa tiraka. Ọlọ́run ló ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó lè máa tiraka. Ọlọ́run ló ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó lè máa tiraka. Ìdíkẹ́lì kan ṣe dé o, ìdíkẹ́lì kan ṣe dé o, ààrùn òye. Ìdíkẹ́lì kan ṣe dé tó lè fi sí orí o. Ó ní mo jáwọ́ pé mo ní bùkátà fèrè. Tí bàbá lòdì máa parí iṣẹ́ yẹn o. Ìdíkẹ́lì kan ṣe dé o, ààrùn òye. Ìdíkẹ́lì kan ṣe dé tó lè fi sí mi o. Ó ní mo jáwọ́ pé mo ní bùkátà fèrè. Tí bàbá lòdì máa parí iṣẹ́ yẹn. Sáyé ilẹ̀ bọ̀rọ̀ tí kò fi ìbò ti dé. Sáyé òǹdè ò ọmọ alátọ̀kùn lọ. Fún gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó lè máa tiraka, Ọlọ́run ló ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó lè máa tiraka.
Tiwantiwa kò ní lè parun, àṣà Yorùbá ò lè gbọ́dọ̀ parun. YNFF Board of Trustees náṣọ nípa wa ò ìdíje àṣà wa.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni àṣà àtìṣe wa ò ní parun láíláí. Ìdí nìyí tí YNFF Board of Trustees ṣe ń ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ eré ìdíje àṣà àtìṣe Yorùbá nípínlẹ̀ mẹ́jọ: ìpínlẹ̀ Kogi, Kwara, Èkó, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó, Èkìtì, Ọ̀yọ́ àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tídíje bí ayò ọlọ́pọ́n, ìjàkadì, ijó ìbílẹ̀, ìdíje ẹwà àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ yóò ti máa wáyé. Ọ̀sẹ̀ kẹta nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án nìdíje ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yóò máa wáyé. Àwọn tó bá gbégbá orókè ló pegedé fún àṣekágbá nínú oṣù kẹwàá. Ẹni sọ lẹ́nu sàpò ìyàkọ́. Odò tó bá gbàgbé orísun ṣetán láti parun ni. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọ gbárùkù tìdíje àṣà àtìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yìí. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé tàbí ẹ fẹ́ ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ tàbí olùrànlọ́wọ́ ẹ lè kàn sí Mr. Olú lórí +44 73 93 15 98 82 tàbí T-Best lórí +2348 16 04 95 979. Mr. Wasiu Aina +134 7500 9472. Ajia Queen Ara +44 7946 313160. Mrs. Roslyn +1416 992 2189. Aṣọ ìbílẹ̀ nìkan la yàn láàyò níbi àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí. Ìdíje àṣà àtìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn ọdún 2023 YNFF Board of Trustees ló ní àṣà àtìṣe wa ò ní parun láéláé.
Tiwantiwa kò ní lè parun, àṣà Yorùbá ò lè gbọ́dọ̀ parun. YNFF Board of Trustees náṣọ nípa wa ò ìdíje àṣà wa.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni àṣà àtìṣe wa ò ní parun láíláí. Ìdí nìyí tí YNFF Board of Trustees ṣe ń ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ eré ìdíje àṣà àtìṣe Yorùbá nípínlẹ̀ mẹ́jọ: ìpínlẹ̀ Kogi, Kwara, Èkó, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó, Èkìtì, Ọ̀yọ́ àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tídíje bí ayò ọlọ́pọ́n, ìjàkadì, ijó ìbílẹ̀, ìdíje ẹwà àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ yóò ti máa wáyé. Ọ̀sẹ̀ kẹta nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án nìdíje ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yóò máa wáyé. Àwọn tó bá gbégbá orókè ló pegedé fún àṣekágbá nínú oṣù kẹwàá. Ẹni sọ lẹ́nu sàpò ìyàkọ́. Odò tó bá gbàgbé orísun ṣetán láti parun ni. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọ gbárùkù tìdíje àṣà àtìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yìí. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé tàbí ẹ fẹ́ ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ tàbí olùrànlọ́wọ́ ẹ lè kàn sí Mr. Olú lórí +44 73 93 15 98 82 tàbí T-Best lórí +2348 16 04 95 979. Mr. Wasiu Aina +134 7500 9472. Ajia Queen Ara +44 7946 313160. Mrs. Roslyn +1416 992 2189. Aṣọ ìbílẹ̀ nìkan la yàn láàyò níbi àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí. Ìdíje àṣà àtìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn ọdún 2023 YNFF Board of Trustees ló ní àṣà àtìṣe wa ò ní parun láéláé.
Tiwantiwa kò ní lè parun.
wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè possible àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè possible ọ̀rọ̀ òṣì wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ ó wáyé fún mi lọ ọbọ̀ bọ̀bọ̀lẹ̀ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́nu lórúkọ rẹ̀ ó wáyé fún wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè possible àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè possible ọ̀rọ̀ òṣì wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ ó wáyé fún mi lọ ọbọ̀ bọ̀bọ̀lẹ̀ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́nu lórúkọ rẹ̀ ó wáyé fún wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè possible àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè possible ọ̀rọ̀ òṣì wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ ó wáyé.
Now the audio actually run out, and I think we've been able to resolve the audio back as we speak right now. So the audio should be out. Sorry for the slight delay. For those of you that are listening to us on the sister broadcast, do let me know if the audio is back. There might be a bit of delay earlier, but it seems to be back already. Thank you so much. Good evening and welcome. First and foremost, I'd like to appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank and Mr. Archie, for making sure that we come to you every Wednesday. Also, to all our viewers, our listeners, on all the platforms, I say good evening and welcome. Mofi ti Eledumare. The Yoruba will say Afitolong ti Eledumare. Oba Jakaye Ashake Orun. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a traditionalist, it does not matter. We greet you in the name of the Almighty God, the God that you serve, the God that you believe in, the God that protects you, and the God that continues to be with us as human beings. Remember that many people died over the weekend. So we are alive is because of whatever we believe in. We've seen what has happened. We pray for those of you in Morocco that are listening to us. We pray for those of you in Libya, where there's been a lot when it comes to the flood that took place in that particular part of the globe. And looking at the numbers, when you look at the total number of people that have passed on, you will ask yourself, what is really going on? Because at the end of the day, there is just too many people that have died in Morocco. We're talking about almost 3,000 people to the earthquake. So right here on the Starr Radio UK, the Niger Voices, every Wednesday, we are sending our condolences to those of you in that part of the globe. Also, I would like to appreciate, my fashion designer that kept on saying that we must look very cool, we must look very good and unique, when we are live on the Starr Radio UK network. And that is one and only, the fashion designer of our era. If you still want to have something of these beautiful outfits, I can tell you how you can get one. It does not matter wherever you are around the world. You remember that last week, I was putting on a very long native, but today I am putting on something more unique as well. Who are we talking about? I'll be telling you a little bit more about the fashion designer and what you can do to customize your own, outfit. We all have different taste of outfit. Some of us, love it in a different way. I love mine, the way it is right now. But Omitaf culture, is out there to make you look cool. If you're looking for a bespoke tailoring, ashwebi, custom made, you want to attend an Owambe, in the next couple of days, you are planning something in the next couple of months, whether in America, whether in Turkey, whether in Dubai, wherever you are, in Italy, in Australia, in Belgium. We have a lot of you listening to us in Lagos State, in Anambra, in Sokoto, in Togo. We have also so many of you, and I say good evening and welcome. So if you like something that I'm putting on tonight, and you also want to own one, because remember that this is what also makes us who we are as people. Remember that, when people see us like this, they are always like, that is a Yoruba man that is moving around there. That is an Igbo man. That is an Hausa man. And again, this is part of the reason why we say we are unique people and we are also well created. So if you're looking up to have this, I'll be sharing more of the link. You can go on their Instagram page and see yourself. You can also see some of the design, that makes them Omitap culture. You can get in touch with them on WhatsApp +234 813 I repeat the number again, +234 81 38 52 85 88. Keep your comment coming. I'll be telling you everything you need to know from the G20. I'm also going to be focusing tonight, the first hour of the program, when we're going to be looking about the issues when it comes to the Labour Congress and the President Bola Tinubu, As I speak to you right now, the vice president is en route to Cuba for the G77. A lot of you will be asking, why all these letter G for gold? We have a lot of gold in the southwest, just like we have a lot of gold. Just like we have a lot of gold in other parts of Nigeria as well. But it seems that the gold in Zamfara remains in Zamfara, but the gold in the southwest is meant to be shared by everyone. So once again, if you like this kind of outfit, make sure you get in touch, with the link below, where you can also have some of the kind of outfit. Again, good evening to all the Biafra, good evening to the Ambazonia, good evening to those of you that do not believe in the right to self-determination. But one thing is, we must remember that the right to self-determination is not a crime. It is our right, and that right will be respected by the federal government of Nigeria. That right will be respected by the international community under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye. There's a lot of events coming up this month, which is going to be the first outing again after the January outing where we had the rally. So if you're going to be in America, remember that the United Nations General Assembly is also coming up this month. This month is very, very unique, and that literally means that under the leadership of Professor I'll get the name again, they've put the package together so that we can be showcasing why we want Yoruba Nation at the General Assembly, the United Nations General Assembly 2023. The event is coming up from the 18th up to the 26th. All the world leaders will be traveling to the United States of America, but the Yoruba people will be present right there. Permit has been given to them to protest a rally to call the attention of as many countries around the world why the Yoruba people must exit Nigeria. It is a peaceful movement, and it remains so under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye. A lot of you that have been asking, why has everything seemed to gone quiet? Well, nothing has gone quiet because sometimes the campaign remain online while diplomacy and negotiation continue behind a closed door. One thing we've got to remember is we are not hoodlums, we are not terrorists, we are not fighting the government, we are asking for the right to self-determination. And that right will be respected by the current administration of President Bola Tinubu. But before we go into the self-determination, the indigenous people, let us remind you once again that Nnamdi Kanu right is still being violated under international law and under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We must remember that the previous administration of President Muhammadu Buhari kidnapped and renditioned Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. That is not allowed in the world that we live today. If you think that there's a crime committed by your citizen, you would then do what they call the proper due diligence of repatriating them back to Nigeria. You would ask through the court process. You do not just go there and kidnap and think that that will be the end of it. Nnamdi Kanu has now become a bone to those that kidnap him within the government. So, but let's first come back again. This was the first image of looking into the Aso Rock, where a lot of us believe that Aso Rock has never been seen like this before. A lot of Nigerians were excited. A lot of Nigerians were happy. And the reason for that is because they've never seen the inner side of Aso Rock. This was a meeting between the Nigerian Labour Congress and also the federal government representative. But what then happened was that we saw that there has been a lot of changes. Those changes started happening when the NLC seems not to be getting their demand from the federal government. What are the demands of the NLC? What is the NLC asking for when it comes to the right of workers? This week, I was looking at the TUC conference taking place in London, in Liverpool, and the TUC are unions that stand the right of so many workers right here in the United Kingdom, England precisely. The TUC held their conference, which was their congress rather. It was a 3-day congress packed with different activities. And I remember that they were saying that they will be taking the United Kingdom to the government of Rishi Sunak, to the United Nations, for the fact that when you are now going to be protesting, when you go on a protest, you might lose your job. But what about Nigerians? The labor union are there to protect workers, regardless of whether you are working in the private sector or in the public sector. The right must be respected, but that doesn't seem going on in Nigeria of today. Right of workers is still not being respected. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Once again, if you're joining me for the very first time, whether you're listening to me anywhere in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, I will be saying good evening once again.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Well, it is not the first time that Nigeria and the Nigerian Labour Congress and the government are having a headlock. But my question is, would this be something that the current administration would try to avoid? What do I mean by that? Are we going to see that the president would have a discussion? Because this time next week, the whole country, from the public to the private sector, might be going into an indefinite strike. Nobody wants to go to strike. Nobody wants to go out of their, comfort zone and be on the road demanding for their right. But we saw that the government said we can no longer continue with the subsidy. The subsidy is no longer viable. We can't pay for fuel, crude oil that we are not using. And that is the reason why the federal government canceled what we call the subsidy. But since the cancellation of the subsidy, the question is, what is the replacement for the subsidy? Yes, subsidy is good to be removed. Bola Tinubu government is saving millions of naira. But what about the workers? An average Nigerian worker still earns below 30,000 naira. And the cost of living has literally gone up as well. So when we talk about, the current situation between the government and these particular NLC, it is something that many of us have asked. Is Nigeria able to hold 200 million people? And then we say we don't want the country to fall apart, but it seems the country cannot take care of its citizens. Many Nigerians today, especially the young ones, are struggling in a country that has not provided, their basic, amenities. But when we talk about these all the time, many Nigerians say we should be a little bit more patient, especially that we have a new government in place. Some disagree. Some say it is just the continuation of the previous government. The only difference is we now have a new sheriff in town. It is still the APC government that took over from the PDP after 16 years that has still not kicked the economy of Nigeria into where it should be today. And that literally means that many, many Nigerians are struggling, mostly the workers. So what do we know and what should we be expecting, in the next couple of days between the NLC and the government? The reps dismissed that the NLC allegation of 100 million palliative for the lawmakers. Well, it seems that, the battle have already started between the NLC and the reps. I'm talking about the representatives in Nigeria. But why is the why is the Nigerian Labour Congress now giving what we can call a warning strike? 2 weeks ago, according to Reuters, this is what Reuters told us, according to the news on the 1st of September. It is now 2 weeks after the NLC seems that their demands have not been met. There's been a lot of meeting. The Nigerian Union planned warning strike next week, There was 2-day strike last week. The question is, was 2 days enough to convince the workers across the state, or should we say it wasn't enough? Now, coming back to what we know as at the 1st of this month, the Nigerian Labour Union planned a warning strike on Tuesday and Wednesday last week, but the next week ahead of an indefinite action in 3 weeks. So it seems that the President Bola Tinubu that have returned back from the G20 now have a lot of work to deal with, and that is to resolve the issue between the Nigerian Labour Congress. 3 weeks is going to expire sometime this time next week. Will this government be able to look into the problems?
At home. On your smartphone. In your car. At work. At home. On your smartphone. In your car. At work. At home. On your smartphone.
Again, the NLC seems that the government is not listening. Wages is not becoming, meeting up to the cost of living of an average worker in Nigeria today. Many of the workers, their wages have not been increased, and some, their wages have not been paid. So that literally means that many workers are not being paid for their services to the government. Are you going to work without being paid? Or should we say that this government should be given more time? Do you think that wages is something that we need to play with? Once again, a very good evening and welcome. If you're joining us for the very first time, I'm sorry, and for those of you on the sister network where we lost the sound for the first 5 minutes. Good evening once again. Keep the comment coming, and I'll be picking them up along the line.
UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
It is called the Starr Radio UK. Every Wednesday it's called the Niger Voices, as we continue to deliberate and look at some of the issues affecting Nigeria. Once again, Mr. Peter Oluwafoniyi Olaseyinde just say yes, Baba, self-determination is definitely not a crime. Good evening to you, Larry Lamina. Good evening to my mom. Good evening to Okumutade Sheung, and good evening to all our mothers that have joined us on all the platforms. Princess Adebigbawoni, good evening to those of you that have joined us on the TikTok, and those of you that are listening to us on the MixLR.
In your car. At work. At home. On your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Well, you can listen to the Starr Radio UK network every Wednesday, but you can also listen to us on our apps by downloading that on the App Store. I'll be telling you everything you need to know about the upcoming activities when it comes to the self-determination. That will be towards the end of the program. Right now, it is still known as the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, it is called the Starr Radio UK, and this is what we do it every Wednesday. Good evening to you, Omodamilare. Yes, the sound should be back now, both on the MixLR. I hope the sound is back. Let me make sure that we have a sound on the MixLR. Yes, the sound is there. Good evening, Comrade Plan B. Good evening, Akin Games. Shout out to those of you in Ibadan. Shout out to those of you across the globe. Once again, good evening to you, Mrs. Vicky T. Good evening, Okikiola. Good evening, Sister Deronke 872. Shout out to Gapsin. Shout out to Iola Ismaila. And again, our condolence to the family of a superstar that life was cut short. We pray for the friends and family of Mohbad that died yesterday evening when the news filtered out of Nigeria. What do we know about these young rapper before we go back again into the discussion of this evening? Once again, my name is Olami Koiki. We are only going to be here for a very, very short period of time in our life. And whatever we have to do, it does not matter the critics. It does not matter whether people disagree with you, agree with you. He has played his role, not just as a Yoruba artist, but also for humanity. Yes, things happen in life. Nobody wants to die. But at some point, we will all exit this world that we are living. So on behalf of the Starr Radio UK, on behalf of myself, I send condolences to the family and friends of Ire Oluwa Oladimeji Aloba, known professionally as Moba. He was a Nigerian rapper, singer, songwriter from Lagos. From what we were told, he was formerly signed to Malian record, but he actually left the label in 2022. He was born 8th of June 1996. He died yesterday, and we pray to Eledumare to continue to be with the family, friends, and those that are close to him. We'll be telling you everything we need to know from the G20. The president had a great time. You can see the picture with the German Chancellor, with the Indian Prime Minister Modi, with also the biggest player when we talk about, America, Joe Biden. But for now, my discussion is still focused between the federal government and the Nigerian Labour Congress. What do you think? Let me hear from you in the comment section. Keep the comment coming, and I'll be picking them up along the line. What are we expecting now that the NLC 3 weeks is now coming down gradually? What is the demand? The Nigerian Labour Congress has literally faulted the palliatives to the state. I mean, imagine palliative, being stolen. This is something that a lot of us kind of a little bit concerned. These palliatives are meant for Nigerians, but it seems some of the state coordinators, even the agencies, kept on stealing the palliatives. What kind of society, what kind of human beings are we? I mean, we're talking about those in the lowest power in the country. These palliatives were meant to be given to them to cushion the problem in the country as we speak right now. But it seems that the same palliative has been stolen by those that are meant to take care of the palliatives. So the Nigerian Labour Congress is right to say that the palliatives has not been useful. It has literally even become crime against humanity. A very good evening to you, those of you, and yes, as many of you say, may so rest in peace. Shout out to those of you in Ilaro. Shout out to those of you in Lagos State. Simon Adebisi, my uncle, good evening to you. Mr. Abiodun say, good evening, and Oyeridi Taiwo, good evening to you. Mrs. Comfort Ologunja, good evening to you. Mrs. Bemileke, good evening to you. And good evening to Bishop Adeshino. Shout out to those of you that have joined us so far. And like I always say, we all have a right. But in Nigeria of today, is our right being respected? Many of us continue to ask, why is it difficult to know who should be given palliative and those that needs to be supported? But the Nigerian Labour Congress has now faulted the palliative to the state, also insisting that what Nigerian workers needed was what we called a minimum wages. Minimum wage has to be paid. We do not want your palliative. This is what the NLC is saying. Do you agree with them? In every country, if you are not paying the right wages, then the union must come and ask the government. It's the same thing right here in UK. There's a lot of strike that goes on between the union and as well the government in the United Kingdom. But many Nigerians are struggling. Good evening to you, Abiodun, and good evening to those of you that are watching us on the broadcast. It observed that the handout serving to cushion effect of the fuel subsidy removal could in a way be applauded, but quickly added that their distribution might not be even, albeit being a temporary measure. We know that if the right wages are paid, then there is no need for palliatives. If the right support is given at workplace, you don't have to give people palliatives. You just have to support those within the system or within the country that are struggling. But that doesn't seem to be the situation in Nigeria, because the Association Deputy President Adewale Adeyanju said what a responsive government should have done could have been to increase the workers' salaries across board. Do you think that Nigeria can afford to increase the wages? Do you think that the Nigerian government, Alex Mamu, good evening to you, Otumba Boye, Mayungba, Babadada, good evening, Prince Adekunle. Prince is not a pet name. When someone is known as Prince or Princess, they have relationship with the royal family. Good evening to my mom. Good evening to Gani Oloyede Adejuwon Ismaila. Good evening to you. Good evening to Uche. Good evening to Mrs. Comfort Adeleye. And good evening to you, Testimony Oguntono. Good evening to once again, mommy and all the grandfathers and the grandmothers and those of you that believe in Yoruba nation. Waris Jinadu says, and I quote, 100 days of Bola Tinubu oil subsidy, 500,000 naira school loan, 114% salary increase for the government officials, 8,000 naira stimulus, Unilag school fees by almost big percentage. I mean, those paying 25,000, I saw those students protesting, and I hope they will not be rough handled by the Nigerian police, just as many Nigerians were killed during the EndSARS by the same government, by the same security operative, by the same taxpayers' money that should have been used to protect them. Rather, we saw blood spill during the EndSARS. Many Nigerians have to flee the country for their own lives. How can students afford to pay 250,000 naira? Hardship for the unborn generation and prosperity. This is what Waris Jinadu says. 100 days of Bola Tinubu. Do you agree with him? What is your stake on that? What is your own view on that? Richie Money, good evening to you. And good evening to our fashion designer and our hairstylist as well. I say good evening and welcome to Mr. Tunde Ibrahim. Mrs. Vicky T0, good evening to those of you that have joined me as well across the network. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and this is Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It seems already that there's a lot of pressure in the country. Let's use this to stabilize the pressure a little bit.
Wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí Ọlọ́run ọba, wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí i, àwọn wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe. Wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè pọ̀ sí i, ọ̀rọ̀ ṣì wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe. Wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ, ó wáyé gbogbo lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́.
Good evening to you, AJs. Good evening to those of you, Michael, Olga. Good evening to you, Grace. Good evening to all our mothers, our fathers. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and this is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And this is how we roll it out every Wednesday. Make sure you keep up to the steering. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to those of you that have joined us so far.
In your car, at home, on your smartphone. In your car, at home, on your smartphone.
The Deputy President of the NLC, Adewale, not Adewale, Adewale Adeyanju, because Yoruba names are very, very unique. You got to pronounce it the way it's meant to be. When you make a mistake with the names, you might probably want to check with the family and those names so that you do not call a name that is not meant to be there. Good evening to you once again, Joe Visuals, Bo66, and those of you that have joined me across. Michael Erga say there's no joy again in Nigeria. Keep the comment coming. Adeola Eson say Nigeria can most definitely afford the minimum wage to the citizen. The rulers just want to be enjoying the Nigerian money. Adewale, the deputy president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, said, and I quote, who doubles as the president of the General of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria at an occasion to mark the Median Dock Worker Celebration Day put together by the Shipping Correspondent Association of Nigeria over the weekend in Lagos State. Lagos. Do you see the way I'm shouting Lagos? I love those of you in Lagos State because a lot of you are listening to us, and I hope the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, will do more when it comes to making sure that many of you that are moving from point A to B Just as we saw the blue rail, we hope the red line will be up and running as quickly as possible to ease the pressure on the road network. Whatever development is coming into the country, we are excited, we are happy. But for those of us that believe in the right to self-determination, we can have far more development if we have our own independent nation. I'll be talking about that later on, but for now, it is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. He went on to say over the weekend, I'm talking about Adewale, the deputy president and also the general president of the Maritime Workers of the Union of Nigeria. Let us assume that the federal government decides to pay workers a minimum wage of 150,000 naira monthly. That may not be enough considering the inflationary trends. Olushoto, my big auntie, Grace, says, and I quote, "Good evening to you as well and welcome, and I hope the family is doing very well on the other side of the globe." You went further to say, and I quote, "Good evening to those of you. Hello, Olayomi, aka White Lion of the journalists and the last man standing on the Yoruba nation sovereignty. No retreat, no surrender. There is no way we are going to surrender. We will continue the campaign until our right is respected." Ebonluwa, good evening to those of you, even those of you that disagree in the disintegration of Nigeria. It is your right. Again, more comment is coming through. Keep them coming, and I'll be reading them out. And once again, my name is Olamileka. I say good evening and welcome to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Otumba Boye Mayuba, a father, a grandfather, says, and I quote, "The concerned citizens oppose the scam by the federal government. Turn it down. Well, this is the bad result. It is always good to listen to the voice of the people." Majid Ibrahim, good evening and welcome. Thank you so much, our father, a grandfather, Babawa Otumba Boye Mayuba. Respect to every single one of you, from the young to the old to the elderly. Like I said, the first hour, I have 20 more minutes before the hour, and then we'll be moving to the G20. Also, our mother, a grandmother as well, Mrs. Grace, went on to say, "A very good evening to my wonderful father, Professor Stephen Adebanji Akintoye, the oracle of our time." He also went to send a greeting to Chief Sunday Majasola Adisa Adeyemo, aka IGBOHO, and all our edible fathers and leaders in the Yoruba nation movement. There's a lot happening, and I'll be telling you that in the next half an hour. But for now, we are looking into the issues between the NLC and the federal government of Nigeria. Once again, I say good evening and welcome. As I always say, this is coming from someone that you know very well. Let's listen to this.
None of you can deny that what I'm saying is the truth. You know it's the truth. But either you won't write it, or you're too cowardly to speak it because you want some favor here or favor there. So because you can't talk, you are muzzled. I'm not. I'm a free black man. And I didn't come here looking for a handout. And I really don't think you need one. Your problem is that you think you need a handout. Everything you need is right under your foot, but you looking everywhere else for help instead of to yourself and what you can produce for yourself. This is Africa's dilemma. You are parading yourself before the world as international beggars when you gave civilization to the world. Your problem is not America. Your problem is not Israel. Your problem is not Britain.
So what is our problem? Why is it taking so long for Africans to pay the right minimum wages for their own citizens? Let's listen furthermore.
Is your disunity and your dependence on others to do for you what you could do for yourself.
So what do we need to do for ourselves to make sure that our government in Africa and mostly in Nigeria will pay the right minimum wages?
I don't have to come back here anymore to help you. The help is all.
A very good evening all the way from Miami. Aziz, I say welcome. That Deshire, the only last man standing in Miami.
Here, the knowledge is already here. The land is here.
So if the land is here, the sun is here, the knowledge is here, we have the skills. Good evening, Dr._Ade_official. Good evening to you, Binde 27. And like I say, keep the comment coming. I'll be picking them up. Oh, Lori BJ, good evening to you. And let's go back again. If we have the land, we have the sun, we have the soil, we have almost everything, we have the natural resources. Why is it taking longer for our government to pay the right minimum wages?
None of you can deny that what I'm saying.
It seems it's gone too far. Let's come back.
So I don't have to come back here anymore to help you. The help is already here. The knowledge is already here. The land is here. The sun is here. The water is here. The minerals are here. You have some of the finest minds in the world.
So if we have all these in Nigeria, we have in the north, we have the soil to plant, groundnut. There is also natural resources. As far back as we have been told, in the northern part of Nigeria, in the middle belt, we have everything. Why is it taking so long for everything to materialize so that the Nigerian government can pay the right minimum wages? Let's go back again.
None of you can deny America. Your problem is not Israel. Your problem is not Britain. Your problem is your disunity and your dependence on others to do for you what you could do for yourself. So I don't have to come back here anymore to help you. The help is already here. The knowledge is already here. The land is here. The sun is here. The water is here. The minerals are here. You have some of the finest minds in the world, but they're in Europe and they're in America making money while Africa suffers. Why don't we create politically stable environment and call the children of Africa back home to help build?
Good evening, Damiju Ayomiko. I'm sure you are part of those that can return home if we are given the opportunity and we are going to be told that we are not going to be harassed and also assassinated. And these and so many questions is, why can't the government pay the full minimum wage to the tune of 150,000 naira? Is it that Nigeria doesn't have the money, or is it that Nigeria has been a wasteful country for a very long time?
We are your children, and we will come and help. But
we are ready to come and help. But when we look at the current context of Nigeria, are you going to be ready to help?
Expect us to come with billions of dollars when we don't have it.
You want us to come back with billions of dollars that we don't have. Many Nigerians have tried to return back home and set up a business to help the government, but it seems that the terrorism happening in Nigeria has made so many people to hold back with their investment.
Struggling in America, but you got it all right here.
We got it all right under the soil, but it seems that what?
Under your foot. And you should be ashamed not to look to yourself, begging white folk to give you what you could give yourself. What I said today, which one of these countries is going to give you $20 million?
So it seems that as the President Bola Tinubu, we just have the next 15 minutes before we move into the outcome of the G20. Do you think that this government investment from Dubai and the rest of the country that he has traveled to will be able to come into the country and give us $20 billion?
America's not going to give you $20 million.
Do you think that United Arab Emirates will start giving us the money? Are you convinced that there is now a visa ban that has been lifted? All these I'll be telling you at exactly 1900 hours on the Starr Radio UK network.
You got it right here, but your disunity won't allow.
Again, just like he actually said there, our disunity, and that is exactly, thank you so much, all the way, Easy Dollar. You are quite right. Mrs. Grace went on to say, a grandmother, our togetherness, we shall take back what is the rightfully belongs to us, either by force or by we have the right to lead and to stop tormenting Africans. We are not slaves. We are human beings like any other people as well. And as we come out of that, I want to remind us again that every right must be respected, and it does not matter how the government feels on those rights. Our right will not be trampled upon. Our right must be respected.
America's not going to give you $20 million. You got it right here, but your disunity won't allow you to pull it. It's your fault. And you got to accept that responsibility. That is why my message is atonement, reconciliation.
So do you think that we can have the atonement, the reconciliation? Do you think that according to the NLC, that is now, saying that sometime next week, we might have no other option than to go into a full, what we called, full-blown indefinite strike? Once again, I say good evening and welcome. As I always say, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. There's a lot to discuss. We still have the next 10 minutes to look into those issues when it comes to Nigeria and the Nigerian Labour Congress. 1 minute, we're coming back again.
wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe bí ọlọ́run ọba wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí i àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè pọ̀ sí i ọ̀rọ̀ ṣe wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ ó wáyé ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀pọ̀ lẹ́yìn.
Well, let's come back again. Our grandmother, Mrs. Grace, and there's a lot of Mrs. Grace out there. There's a grandmother, Mrs. Grace, and there's also many other names. And then we appreciate as many of you that are listening to us, and those of you that are not doing very well. One reason, health. There's a lot of issues. People are depressed, especially abroad. People are depressed in Nigeria because they do not have enough. People are depressed in UK because we seem to be a little bit lonely. Maybe some of you do not know that. Loneliness is killing many of our diaspora outside Nigeria. Loneliness is one of the biggest problems, and we can only say that we hope that the situation in Nigeria can be resolved amicably so that we can have a better opportunity. Once again, thank you so much to those of you that have joined us and those of us that are still with us this particular evening. As we always say, what is the meaning of Nigeria to you? We're coming back in just about a few minutes.
Yorùbá wà lọ̀rọ̀ ìkàn pátápátá láti ń lọ gbọ́ ẹ̀tàn tantan sétí ọmọ aládé gbogbo. Nígbàgbọ́ wípé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń gbọ́ lẹ́yìn náà wọ́n sọ fún àwọn yòókù kárí ilé kárí oko tí gbogbo wọn sì péjú pésẹ̀ síbi ìwọ́de àlágbá yamuyamu tàlújá tó pọ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Amẹ́ríkà yìí. Yorùbá Nation Diaspora Mega Rally in alliance with Yorùbá World Media àti Yorùbá Nation Self-Determination Rapọ̀dọ̀ kan ṣàgbékalẹ̀ New York Super Mega Rally. Ọjọ́ mẹ́ta gbáko ló máa fi wáyé bẹ̀rẹ̀ látọjọ́ Ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday ọjọ́ kọkàndínlógún oṣù kẹsàn-án títí di ọjọ́bọ̀ Thursday ọjọ́ kọkànlélógún oṣù kẹsàn-án bákan náà látago méje òwúrọ̀ títí di agogo mẹ́rin ìrọ̀lẹ́ New York Times láti máa péjú pésẹ̀ gbóhùn sókè rárá fáyé gbọ́ wípé ó tó gẹ́ Yorùbá self-determination is our life. Yorùbá fẹ́ dá dúró a fẹ́ kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀tàn a fẹ́ kúrò nínú ìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà sì rọ gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa jákèjádò àgbáyé tó ń bọ̀ wá síbi rálì yìí wípé ká pàdé lọ́jọ́rú ogúnjọ́ oṣù kẹsàn-án ní rally location 78 UN General Assembly 405 West 45 Street New York City New York 10017. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí i tàbí fún ọ̀kan ọ̀jọ̀kan ìbéèrè tẹ́ bá.
And that again is part of the activities for the Yoruba Nation mega rally that is coming up from the 19th of this month. Once again, if you love this kind of outfit, the link inside the comment section, click on that and you might be able to know how you can get yours at a very good price. Good evening to you, Omobolaji Abdullahi. Thank you to those of you that are listening to us across the network. Comrade Plan B, yeah, I can see the comment coming through. You said the sound is good. Thank you so much. We have 8 people that are listening to us on the MixLR. It's an audio version that saves you a little bit of money for those of you that are listening to us inside Nigeria. Now, before we move away from the NLC, my question is, do you think that the federal government of Nigeria will be able to pay the right wages for many of our workers in the country? Do you think that according to the president of the General of the Maritime, Adelawa Adeyanju, that went on further to say, and I quote, in his presentation, he reviewed government port reforms and pointed out some success and failures. According to him, the lease agreement between the government and the 25 terminal operators covering 10 to 25 years has not been renewed due to the interagency rivalry, thus leaving the most vulnerable people, the dock workers, wedged in between. Good evening, my sister and auntie Olushola David Alaji Bashir. Good evening to you. Shout out to as many of us that are campaigner of the right to self-determination. He said that the dock workers are strategically. Do you know that many Nigerians do not have permanent contract in the workplace? Good evening to you, Babawa Aderigbe Adejuwon, and welcome once again. Do you know that many workers in Nigeria are not given a full contract, and that means you can be dismissed anytime? So many workers. Shout out to you once again, Aziz. Good evening, our grandmother, Mrs. Elizabeth Adesonya. Do you know that many Nigerians workers are struggling because of the negligence of a system that should protect workers? And as we leave you tonight, I hope, I'm not going to say I pray, but I hope, because we have tend to put all the pressure in the prayer, when in reality, what we should be talking about is action. As the labor threaten indefinite strikes, the last week is going to be this time next week. I am in the hope that solution will be resolved between the Nigerian Labour Congress and the federal government of President Bola Tinubu. Do the needful. There is no need to take the country into much more pressure than it is already. We've seen newborn baby being thrown into the river. We've seen people commit suicide. We've seen Nigerians crying on a daily basis and asking for one thing alone: a good governance. A government that serves the people. The government that served the people, just like the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo was serving the people during the regional government. But today, I hope this man called Ngalale Ajuri will not be the Lai Muhammad of the time. The Lai Muhammad. Remember that man, Alhaji Lai Muhammad. He tells lies a lot. Because Ajuri told us, as we move into the next conversation, from his press statement that I was able to read just after the president left the G20, he came out to say that certain things have been lifted with immediate effect. I'm talking about the visa ban between Nigerians and the government of Abu Dhabi. We know that every country has a right to control their immigration, just as it is done here in the United Kingdom. But the question I'm asking the government today is, are you being honest with Nigerians, or are you playing the minds of Nigerians? We know that Nigerians' expectation with this present administration is high. Well, we do not want to be deceived and told lies, because the more you tell lies, the more Nigerians will start checkmating the government itself. I remember after the president left Abu Dhabi, or prior before he left, Ajuri Ngelale told us that the government has been able to finalize certain deals with the Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates government. There is a lot of negotiation that went behind the closed door, and the ones that we've been told: investment in defense, agriculture, defense in so many other areas. But what we can confirm today seems that whatever the outcome, as long as it's going to favor the Nigerians that are living in Dubai, that have been complaining for more than 2 years of the negligence of a government, just like many Nigerians that have been neglected, from Indonesia to Malaysia to Libya, even some in Europe. My question is, will this government come out openly rather than trying to deceive us with some of their rhetorics? It has been 100 days of this government already, and we can only monitor the next couple of months and years ahead. But time is not there for many Nigerians, because the hope is that things should start working as quickly as possible. Many Nigerians are hopeful that things will change in their lifetime. But we are saying, whatever is going to be of that hope, it must happen as swiftly and as quickly so that humanity can be saved.
But we can say that the visa ban has been dealt with. Nigerians can look forward to business ties being restored across the two countries. And of course, this is going to have a major impact on Nigerian economic actors, both from small-scale business to medium-scale and large-scale industry. But what we've said is that these things are give and take, right? You don't just go and collect favors. You also have to give an assurance that our visa processing system must be modified in such a way that we have better diligence done on applicants who are seeking to go to the UAE. We want the best of our citizens traveling abroad, people who will represent us well, going to study, going to do business, but we can say,
well, you've listened to a lot of what was said in that discussion. We want to have many people travel to UAE. But the question is, the right of these individuals, whether they're going for tourism, business, or they're planning to relocate, do you think that it is now the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the government of UAE would do whatever it takes to protect, especially the citizens? Because Nigerians that are living in that world today are complaining because of so many things that doesn't seem right. And part of those things that are not right is not respecting us as a human being. It seems that today, many Nigerians are not respected. Whether you live in Dubai, whether you live in Europe, whether you live in Asia, the value as a citizen is no longer there. So as I'm looking at the outcome of the G20 that has now given the African Union as a member, you might be asking why Nigeria was not a member for a very long time, just like Nigeria is not a member of the BRICS. As the Vice President is heading to another summit called the Group of 77. The Group of 77 at the United Nations is a coalition of 134 developing countries designed to promote its members' collective economic interests and create enhanced negotiating capacity in the United Nations. The Vice President is already en route to Cuba. What is the G77 and what is the purpose? Just as many of you have asked, what is G20? We told you that in our last conversation. G20, what was the outcome of President Bola Tinubu? What is the take? What has it brought back? What kind of investment are we going to be looking between Bola Tinubu's government and the other countries that also participated? We saw a lot of dignitaries, world leaders, from Joe Biden to Macron to German Chancellor all the way to Jakarta, to the United Arab Emirates, to Saudi Arabia. We saw everyone travel to the G20. But what is the government of Bola Tinubu bringing back home to Nigerians? Nigeria consider G20 membership, but that membership hasn't come through as a single sovereign nation, but it has come under the African Union. What is the takeaway from the business side of things? Because the president traveled ahead. I remember it traveled just a couple of days before the outcome of the PEP. We saw the president with the German, the US, the South Korea on the sideline. We have now been told that at the G20, Nigeria eyes massive India investment in our defense. This again is for the security of the country. I have no doubt that India-Nigerian defense ties will expand. The reason is because President Bola Tinubu sees Prime Minister Modi as a great reformer, a transformation leader of India. This is coming from Ajuri Ngelale, the spokesperson of the Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, to one of the mainstream media in India during the G20. One of the Indian key moves ahead of the G20 summit, Ajuri Ngelale is the spokesperson for the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I hope we're not going to be the same, or it's not going to be the same, just like we saw Lai Mohammed, the former information minister. He says, and I quote, that President Bola Tinubu said they represent over 1 billion African citizens. Really? So President Bola Tinubu is representing 1 billion African citizens, but yet under his shore, under his nose, there's pressure in the country, especially between the relationship between Nigeria and Niger today. We do not even know what is going to be the outcome from the ECOWAS. It seems that everybody has gone to sleep. So what means that we have actually accepted the junta between Niger, because I am not seeing this government attacking under the ECOWAS for now. But the spokesperson, Ajuri Ngelale, went further to say that Indian investment in the Nigerian defense sector, the defense minister, Rajnath Singh, today met with President Tinubu after he arrived in Delhi. Every leader have left and they've gone back home. What is going to be the take? We are talking about $1 billion to boost the Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria for achievement of 40% self-sufficient with the cooperation of the Indian government, he said. He also agreed that Nigeria is interested at the LCA Tejas and transfer of technology of drones and more advanced armor personnel carriers. What is your take from the G20? Do you think that Nigeria has gone back to where it was? Or do you think Nigeria is still where it is? Once again, a very good evening and welcome to as many of you that are listening to us from different parts of the globe. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's just coming up to 8 minutes past 1900 hours, which literally means that it's 8 minutes past 7 p.m.
Wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe jẹ́ Ọlọ́run ọba, wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí i, àwọn wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe. Wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè pọ̀ sí i, ọ̀rọ̀ ṣe wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe. Wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ wáyé.
Once again, let's look at the business news out of Nigeria today. In the morning, I told you between the conversation that Nigeria to start clearing goods from Cotonou port. Also, UBA grows half a year gross earning to 982 billion. Most of the banks are rip-off anyway, as many of the banks in Nigeria are the biggest ripper. Poor Nigerian female students get 10,000 naira per term, according to the World Bank. What do we know? The parent and the caregivers of about 300,000 poor female students will get 10,000 naira per term in 6 states as an incentive for schooling, according to the World Bank disclosed this in their website. The bank disclosed that the 6 states to consist of Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, Plateau. What about the other state? It says that the funding was provided through the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Program. What about the other states? In Enugu, Anambra, Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Benue. Why just the northern part of the country? Again, it added that in Nigeria, 4 in 10 people live below poverty line. That literally means that 95 million people, currently 87% of them living in the northern part of Nigeria. You can see the pressure coming from one part of the country to the other. The question is, can this government reduce the poverty? It is also noted that aside from poverty, cultural practice, we've talked about that. We are not one, we can never be one. Our culture is different. There are more innocent children giving birth in the north, and they are thrown into the street, and they are called the Almajiris. It has been going on for more than 50 years like that, and there's still no single solution to this problem. All this is having a big toll on the remaining state as well. Once again, my name is OLAMILEKAN, and this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's just coming up to 11 minutes past 7 p.m.
At home. On your smartphone. In your car. At work. At home. On your smartphone. In your car. At work. At home.
So if we have different cultural practices that are deeply rooted, according to this report from the World Bank, in the social norm, such as education preference. Remember the Boko Haram. The Boko Haram do not want people to be having quality education. Book is around. Also, we have seen as early marriage of girls in the northern part of Nigeria, and that would also contribute to more children. Innocent children giving birth to innocent children. Contributed to the low enrollment and the secondary school competition rate for girls. It says, and I quote, Nigeria has the highest number of child brides. What a country. In West and Central Africa. I repeat that again. Today, Nigeria has the highest number of young children that are given away for marriage. In West and Central Africa, we're talking about 23.6 million Nigerian girls are married below the legal age of 18 years old. Can we really say that this country is going backward? Or should we say that the present administration, with all the network, with all the support, they are going to bring hope back to Nigeria? I remember the Vice President telling us that it would take 21 trillion naira to build 28 million homes to many Nigerians across the state. Do you think that the other superpower, Joe Biden, says, and I quote, that the economic situation between President Bola Tinubu is something that the American government is excited about? Do you think that Joe Biden is being honest with Nigerians? Because what Joe Biden says travels faster than anything else. Let me say exactly how it was said during the G20. Tinubu displays strong leadership in defense of democracy. Joe Biden, the president of the United States of America, Tinubu will be sidelined as the only African leader to have a meeting with Joe Biden at the United Nations General Assembly later on this month. United States President Joe Biden has lauded President Bola Tinubu for his effort towards preserving the rule of law and democracy in Niger Republic. I'm sure we heard a lot of that during the former President Muhammadu Buhari, only for us to be told that Buhari actually destroyed the Nigerian economy and also set up many of those that were killed in the southeast genocide. The report is out there in the public domain. Joe Biden also reaffirmed his commitment to the long-standing relationship between the country, where you cannot travel to America today. It will literally take you 1 year and 2 months to get an appointment if you want to visit the United States of America. You can see that these world leaders tell Nigerians what they want you to hear, but in reality, behind closed doors, they are aware of so many problems taking place in this country called Nigeria. Do you think that Joe Biden, that have not come out to say that the coup in Niger is a coup? And there's a reason for that. The American government will literally have to stop as many of their support to Niger should America decide to say it was a coup. Out of all the countries around the globe today, American government refuses to say the way it is that Niger, that was a coup. Why do you think it is so? Why is American government not coming out to say that was a coup and we are going to say it as it is? Is this present administration of Bola Tinubu working for the West, especially the American government? Or is this just something that we are just overlooking? Once again, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I say all the time, our right to self-determination will be respected, and we'll be telling you more about that just in the next 30 minutes. If you're joining me for the first time, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Every Wednesday is called the Nigerial Voices, where we look into as many of the discussion happening, not just in Nigeria, but with the diaspora that are living outside as well. Are you still thinking, why is America not calling it a coup? Is there something we don't know that we need to know? Is there something that is out there that we need to be told that we are not told? Why is this government refusing to call it a coup? Your guess is as good as mine. But there's many information out there that we will continue to share with you. There was a statement that was released by the White House following Joe Biden's encounter with President Bola Tinubu at the G20. President Joe Biden has reinforced our enduring commitment to the United States-Nigeria relationship and to the long-standing friendship between our two countries and peoples, according to the statement. President Biden welcomed Tinubu administration's step to reform the Nigerian economy. Do you think that Tinubu can reform the economy? Madi P says, this will tell you the insanity to the truth of our existence as a human being. Why is American government trying to play a little bit below expectation when it comes to the problem between Niger and the rest of the globe? Let's go back again and look at some of the business news, as many Nigerians want to be in business, but it seems that is not happening very, very fast. Managers to now examine the federal government economic policy at the NIM conference. So many conferences. I'm talking about the Nigerian Institute of Management chapter. We have heard about conference, and it seems that some people are making money out of this conference. The question is, are we a serious country that wants to deal with the problem, or are we just putting it, and then after 8 years or 4 years, the government goes, another government comes in? Or should we say it's continuity, that Bola Tinubu is speaking from what is currently being of the previous government of President Muhammadu Buhari? Once again, a very good evening to all our mothers, Mrs. Toyin Akunluyi. Ayomide say, let's keep going. We are almost there. There's no doubt. Managers in the country will be x-raying the economic policies of President Bola Tinubu's during the annual conference of the Nigerian Institute of Management. In a statement signed by the Registry Chief Executive of the Institute, Mrs. Taiwo Olushesi, the Institute said that this year's conference, which will be held on September 18, that is in the next 5 days, in Lagos, as the team managing Nigeria's path to sustainable economic growth and prosperity. Do you think that Nigeria can still grow in economic and in prosperity? The challenges before the new national leadership of President Bola Tinubu. The chief executive, Mrs. Taiwo Olushesi, claimed that the choice of the team was the conference was arrived at because the institute realized the need of the new administration by President Bola Tinubu to quickly take some far-reaching policy decisions that will not only help revamp and revive the nation's economy. How do you rate the Nigerian economy at 1 to 10? 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Where do you rate the Nigerian economy today? 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Let me read it from the comment section. And as I say, good evening once again to many of you that are listening to us and many of you that are watching us from around the globe. My name again is OLAMILEKAN, and this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London every Wednesday, where we look at the issue in Nigeria and the diaspora and likewise the indigenous people.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Once again, a very good evening and welcome. Those of you that are watching us on the other platform, bear with us. There might be a kind of a delay when it comes to my voice and the picture. Is because the system from the studio this evening is reason for that. So that means you're picking up my mic, but you're watching the images from the Starr Radio UK network. So bear with us in case my voice is not sequenced with the image. It's because there's issue that has to be resolved behind the scene, and we hope we can rectify that by next week. Now, let's come back out again. Now that the G20 has been completed, we now also have the G77 that is coming up, this year, and that is going to be held at Havana in Cuba. I am aware that the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Shetima, is en route already, and will be telling you everything we need to know just as we have it. Nigerian continue investors drive as Shetima attend the G77 summit. The Vice President Kashima Shetima earlier this morning has now traveled all the way to Havana, Cuba, representing the President Bola Tinubu. Many other countries will be traveling, just as we saw them travel to the G20. What is going to be part of the travel of this government again? Looking for investors. But when they're saying they're looking for investors, are they being realistic? Because we know that the current state of situation in Nigeria, where we still have the insecurity, do you think that anyone can come to a country and invest their hard-earned income, hard-earned money, when there is already issue? Many Nigerians are still being kidnapped. One took place this week in Benue State. The engineer will work out and we get the audio for that in just about a few minutes. Many Nigerians that have established businesses have collapsed. And the reason for that is because the present administration says, and I quote, "We will deal with every security problem." Buhari said more than that. For 8 years, he was a failure. I'm not sure how he was able to gain his general. Some of such generals should not even be a general. we were told about change, next level. Right now, we are currently in what we call renewed change. Do you think that this present administration will bring the renewed change as expected? As we continue to give you all the updates, do you know that more than 10 NYSC youth corpers that were kidnapped almost 10 days ago are still not yet been rescued? Where is the DSS? Where is the Nigerian police? Where is the military? Where is the Navy? They can only run after innocent Nigerians, but they are not bold enough to go after the terrorists. You will wonder, how did we get to where we are today? And how do we unbundle the situation? The state of the insecurity, as many countries around the world monitor these, the question is, are they going to come and invest in a country where security is a threat to lives? What do we know? Not just 10 days. I thought I said 10 days. No, it's more than 10 days. Maybe I should put on my glasses. 26 days later, 8 NYSC members remain in the terrorist den. And we have the government going to sleep while Nigerians are being held in the terrorist den. It's not the first time, and I don't think it's going to be the last time. But many Nigerians are hopeful that this present administration will bring some changes. I'll be telling you a little bit more about the outcome of the case of Tani Olong later on in the course of the program. His case has now been moved again, adjourned to the 19th of September. Injustice to one is injustice to all. I'll be telling you everything we need to know about the latest from Nnamdi Kanu and the latest from so many innocent Nigerians across the globe, as many Nigerians are crying for help, but it seems the help is not coming because we do not have the government. Dangote refinery fails to meet August production deadline of 650,000 barrels a day. What do you think? Do you think that it is right that terrorists continue to kidnap us and the government goes home to sleep? Or maybe they're working hard to rescue this individual. This same week, I saw the video where Nigerians that were kidnapped, 10 people were killed. Innocent Nigerians continue to die in the hands of terrorists in the country. Let's look at this report. The terrorists that kidnapped 8 Akwa Ibom State graduates in Zamfara State on their way to Sokoto State for the National Youth Service Corps, known as the NYSC. If you're not from Nigeria, or if you're not from that part of the globe, you might not know the meaning of NYSC. I will explain that to you right now. What does it mean? NYSC is a program that every Nigerian that conclude their university or polytechnic must attend. This was set up in 1973. I don't think it is still viable, especially with the current state of insecurity in Nigeria. The NYSC must now be reviewed and allow every student now graduate to remain in their state. How can you travel from Akwa Ibom, making your way to Sokoto, and you are kidnapped and there is no government that can rescue you? What is the essence? What is the essence of them being part of this NYSC? Let's listen to these. These were also innocent Nigerians kidnapped in Benue on their way to Lagos State. Let's hear from them directly.
Please, Akusto Kene, Stevie, still also Kene. Okay, we're going to escape around the bush. We don't know where we are now. Please, I'm Freddie Atabo Stevie. Please, I'm Stevie here. We are on our way to Lagos State when we are ambushed on the way. They started shooting on our vehicle.
How do you expect investors Good evening to you all the way in Lagos State. Good evening to those of you in Ogun State, in Enugu, in Anambra, in Ghana, in Togo, in Benin Republic. Good evening to you in Rivers State, and very good evening to those of you watching us in Abuja, FCT. My question today is, what more should this government be doing? But we know that the government during the G20 says we are working to get as many defense into the country. Good evening to you, Richard Alaba. Temitope Adebayo, a very good evening to you and welcome. Once again, if you like the kind of outfit that I'm putting on, you can click on the page where you can see many of such, and you can also get yours from Omita Culture. You can have it tailored to how you want it. You can also have it, with some kind of logos, depending on what you want. Are you looking for Ashwebi? Are you looking for the bespoke tailoring? Do you think that somebody actually made this for me? This was not bought on the shelf. This was produced by the best fashion designer in town, Omita Culture. If you'd like to know more, work has been done for so many diaspora in the past. All this, you can check them out on their IG. Let's come back again to 26 days. I was going to tell you a little bit more about the NYSC. This was set up in 1973, May 22 precisely. A very good evening to you, our grandfathers, our grandmother, and welcome to the network, Starr Radio UK. It is known as the National Youth Service Corps. It's a program that was set up by the Nigerian government during the military regime to involve Nigerian graduates in the nation building and development of the country. There is no military conscription in Nigeria, but since 1973, graduates of universities and later polytechnics have been required to take part in the National Youth Service Corps program for 1 year. This is known as the National Service Year. Ahmadu Ali served as the first Director General of the NYSC until 1975. The incumbent Director General Yusuf Dogara Ahmed, Major General Sulaiman Kazuru, was appointed the Director General of the NYSC on the 18th of April 2016 and served as the 17th DG of the scheme until its redeployment to the Nigerian Army Resources Center. Do you think that we still need this NYSC? Do you think that it is still workable for Nigerians that are living in a safe place, then travel to somewhere that is not safe and get kidnapped, and then the government just sleep and then think that we say nothing? We must continue to speak for those that do not have the voice, especially in Nigeria. And these are some of the reasons why some of us are saying that this unity is no longer working. It is time that we dissolve the unity of Nigeria. There is no progress in Nigeria. There is no unity in Nigeria. The progress and unity is not working for so many reasons. What is your take on that? Do you think that it is time that the NYSC is either scrapped or allow students to partake that in their state? We can no longer live in denial. The NYSC is no longer working in the 21st century of Nigeria because many Nigerians are being killed or kidnapped. What is your take on that? Let's go back again. 26 days, almost a month. 8 NYSC members that were traveling from Akwa Ibom State, graduates in Zamfara State, on their way to Sokoto State, have been kidnapped, and today, 13 million naira ransom was demanded. As demanded, additional 200 million as ransom after they've collected 13 million. Do you understand what 13 million is? Once again, a very good evening and welcome to the program. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and I welcome you all to the conversation. Nigeria is a crime scene, and it will remain so if nothing is done as quickly as possible. Many of you will die because there's no good health care. Many of you will die because the road network has not been put to the 21st century road network. Many mishap would happen if you go, for those of you that travel through the boat from Ikorodu to Lagos and other places. Many of you will not be able to have the top-notch education as it was during the regional government. My question is, those that do not have the means paid 13 million, yet 8 individuals are still being held by the terrorists. And you have the Senate President Akpabio, you have the Vice President Shetima, you have the President Bola Tinubu, you have all the security agencies. And the question is, what role are they playing to secure these innocent people? According to the sibling of one of the victims told us on Tuesday that the abductors were demanding an additional 200 million ransom to release these corps members, an Akwa Ibom transport company bus driver that was taken with them, making them 8. My question is, do you think that you will be able to survive in Nigeria? Good evening and welcome to those of you, our father, Dari Joe. Bedu Magazine, good evening to you, my brother, and welcome. Nigeria remains a crime scene, but it seems that this government would have to work very hard to protect many of you, especially the insecurity in the country. As we move away from that, we now come back to the indigenous people. I am not going to talk about the PEP. We've said so much on that, and we just have to wait for the Supreme Court judgment after 60 days. But we know that Atiku is still pushing to get the president result from Chicago University. But when we come back to the right of the Yoruba people to self-determination, do you know that you can listen now every Saturday on the shortwave radio from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. where you can listen on 17735 KHZK on the shortwave. That will enable you to know as many of the activities and what is happening when it comes to the Yoruba Nation movement. For those of you that have been asking, it seems that everything has gone quiet. Nothing has gone quiet, because by the next couple of days, the Yoruba self-determination campaign will be heading to New York City, where the General Assembly will be held. And once again, I welcome those of you that have joined us, and I say good evening to you all. Let's start with this.
Yorùbá wà lọ̀rọ̀ ìkàn pátápátá láti lọ gbọ́ ẹ̀tàn tantan sétí ọmọ aládé gbogbo. Nígbàgbọ́ wípé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń gbọ́ lẹ́yìn náà wọ́n sọ fún àwọn yòókù kárí ilé kárí oko. Tí gbogbo wọn sì péjú pésẹ̀ síbi ìwọ́de àlágbá yamuyamu tàbíjá tó pọ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Amẹ́ríkà yìí. Yorùbá Nation Diaspora Mega Rally in alliance with Yoruba World Media àti Yorùbá Nation Self-Determination Arapọ̀dọ̀ kan ṣàgbékalẹ̀ New York Super Mega Rally. Ọjọ́ mẹ́ta gbáko ló máa fi wáyé. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ látọjọ́ Ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday ọjọ́ kọkàndínlógún oṣù kẹsàn-án títí di ọjọ́bọ̀ Thursday ọjọ́ kọkànlélógún oṣù kẹsàn-án bákan náà látago 7 òwúrọ̀ títí di agogo 4 ìrọ̀lẹ́ New York Times láti máa péjú pésẹ̀ gbóhùn sókè rárá fáyé gbọ́ wípé ó tó gẹ́. Yorùbá self-determination is our life. Yorùbá fẹ́ dádúró, a fẹ́ kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀tàn, a fẹ́ kúrò nínú ìnira orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. A sì rọ gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa jákèjádò àgbáyé tó ń bọ̀ wá síbi rálì yìí wípé ká pàdé lọ́jọ́rú 20 oṣù kẹsàn-án ní rally location 78 UN General Assembly 405 West 45th Street New York City New York 10017. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí tàbí fún ọ̀kan ọ̀jọ̀kan ìbéèrè tẹ́ bá ní, ẹ kàn sí wa látòrí èyíkéyìí wẹ́bsáìtì yìí www.megarally.org tàbí www.yorubaworldmedia.com, ó sì lè jẹ́ www.ysdm.org. Bákan náà ni ẹ lè pè tàbí kẹ́ fi àtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ sọwọ́ sí Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa lórí +1 803 846 1116. Mrs. Jùmọ̀kẹ́ Ògúnlẹ́yẹ lórí +1 347 703 7819. Dr. Sabi lórí +447 440 715 542. Mr. Gani Alágbàlá lórí +1 713 875 3339. Koikimedia lórí +447 594 050 979. Ìyálóde YSDM lórí +447 442 0812177 Mr. Abiodun Ojo lórí +1 347 301 8360. ẹ má gbàgbé wípé a fẹ́ kí gbogbo ènìyàn tó pọ̀ lágbàáyé ti wà ní sẹpẹ́sẹpẹ́ ní venue lọ́jọ́ Wednesday ogúnjọ́ oṣù kẹsàn-án lọ́jọ́ tó jẹ́ D-Day gan láti sọ fún gbogbo ayé wípé ó tó gẹ́.
Well, there's a lot going on and there's a lot happening and we're telling you everything. And this time around now, we're going to be switching a little bit of the conversation to Yoruba as this segment is now going to be of more of the Yoruba. I'll be trying my best to do translation for all our African leaders that do not, African listeners that do not understand Yoruba. Mo kí gbogbo wa pé a tún káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ti Right to Self-Determination tí a máa ń gbé wá ní ọjọ́ Wednesday lórí ètò Starr Radio UK. Ìyẹn ni gbogbo ibi tí a ti máa mọ gbogbo tó ń lọ lórí ìrìn àjò Yorùbá Nation àti àwọn ẹ̀yà wa Biafra tí àwọn náà ń kéde pé àwọn fẹ́ yapa kúrò lára Nàìjíríà. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ a mú ìròyìn tó dá wá fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá tó ń bẹ nílé àti èyí tó ń bẹ ní oko. Kí ni ìròyìn tó dá náà tí a mú wá yàtọ̀ sí ìkéde tí a gbọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan nípa ètò tí ó ń bọ̀ ní oṣù yìí ní on the 19th. A tún fẹ́ fi tó gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá létí pé ìdíje àṣà àti ìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tí ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn tí wọ́n pè àwọn wo ni wọ́n gbé ètò eléyìí kalẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ni a máa fi tóra wa létí ní àṣálẹ́ yìí. Àwọn náà ni à ń pè ní YNFF. Tá bá rántí pé ní last year a lọ síbi tí wọ́n ń pè ní díje tí wọ́n ti ń gbá bọ́ọ̀lù ní South Africa. Àwọn tí wọ́n ṣe agbátò gbogbo ètò yẹn àwọn náà lọ tún wá sọ pé ayò ọlọ́pọ́n, ìjàkadì ìyẹn tá a mọ̀ sí wrestling àti ijó ìbílẹ̀ cultural dance, ẹwà ìdíje beauty contest, gbogbo ètò yìí pátá ni wọ́n ti gbé kalẹ̀ tó ń máa wáyé ní inú oṣù tó ń bọ̀. Tó bá di ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ lágbára Elédùmarè àgbé wọn wá kọ́ wá bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ètò náà àti pé kí làwọn kan tí àwọn ayẹyẹ tó ń bọ̀ kí ni ká máa retí látàrẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ gbọ́ ìkéde iná.
tí wọ́n gorí lè parun àṣà Yorùbá ò lè gbọ́dọ̀ parun YNFF board of trustees lọ́sọ̀ nípa wa ìdíje àṣà wa.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni àṣà àti ìṣe wa ò ní parun láíláí. Ìdí nìyí tí YNFF board of trustees ṣe ń ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ eré ìdíje àṣà àti ìṣe Yorùbá nípínlẹ̀ 8: ìpínlẹ̀ Kogi, Kwara, Èkó, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó, Èkìtì, Ọ̀yọ́ àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tí ìdíje bí ayò ọlọ́pọ́n, ìjàkadì, ijó ìbílẹ̀, ìdíje ẹwà àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ yóò ti máa wáyé. Ọ̀sẹ̀ kẹta nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án nìdíje ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yóò máa wáyé. Àwọn tó bá gbégbá orókè ló pegedé fún àṣekágbá nínú oṣù kẹwàá. Ẹni sọ lẹ́nu sàpò ìyàtọ̀. Odò tó bá gbàgbé orísun ṣetán láti parun ni. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọ gbárùkù ti díje àṣà àti ìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yìí. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé tàbí ẹ fẹ́ ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ tàbí olùrànlọ́wọ́ ẹ lè kàn sí Mr. Olú lórí +44 73 93 15 98 82 tàbí T-Best lórí +2348 16 04 95 979. Mr. Wasiu Aina +134 7500 9472. Ajia Queen Ara +44 7946 313160. Mrs. Roslyn +1416 992 2189. Aṣọ ìbílẹ̀ nìkan la yàn láàyò níbi àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí. Ìdíje àṣà àti ìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn ọdún 2023 YNFF board of trustees ó ní àṣà àti ìṣe wa ò ní parun láéláé.
Àṣà àti ìṣe wa kò ní parun láéláé. A máa ṣe gbogbo tí ìdí tí àṣà àti ìṣe wa kò gbọdọ̀ parun. Yorùbá Day òun náà ń bọ̀ ní ìlú òyìnbó tí a ti ṣe gbọ́ láti ara àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣe ètò náà. A máa sọ nípa ẹ̀ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ kí ló ń pè ní àṣà? Kí ló ń pè ní àṣà? Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí ètò mú kí bàbá wa Kẹ́hìndé Ọláṣẹ́ní Sàlámì ẹ máa káàbọ̀ sórí ètò náà. Tí a bá sọ pé àṣà, kí la pè ní àṣà? Ẹ bá fi sínú comment section. Kí la wá ń pè ní ayò ọlọ́pọ́n? Ta ló rántí ayò ọlọ́pọ́n? Ta ló mọ tó ń pè ní ìjàkadì? Ta ló mọ tó ń pè ní ijó ìbílẹ̀? Ta ló mọ̀ nípa ẹwà ìdíje? Gbogbo ètò yìí ló máa wáyé láti ìlú Kogi State, Kwara, Èkó, Ọ̀ṣun, Oǹdó, Èkìtì, Ọ̀yọ́ àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn State. Tí wọ́n bá wá ṣe gbogbo tó yẹ kó ṣe tán ní gbogbo state tí wọ́n yẹ kó ti ṣiṣẹ́, wọ́n wá darí wá sí ìlú Ìbàdàn fún ìtànpè ní ìtí a máa fi kágbá ẹ̀ nílẹ̀. Àwọn wo ló wá gbé ètò yìí kalẹ̀? Àwọn wo ni wọ́n ṣe agbátọ̀ ẹ̀? Àwọn ni a mọ̀ sí YNF Board of Trustees. A máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn tí wọ́n fi jẹ́ ká gbàgbé ìtànpè ní àṣà àti ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nítorí pé àṣà wa òun ni pé kí a dé fìlà gọ̀bì kọ́ mọ̀ pé ẹni tó ń lọ yẹn ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Àṣà wa wá yàtọ̀ sí àṣà tó kù. Àwọn àṣà tó kù náà àṣà tó dání àmọ́ ṣé tiwantiwa yìí a gbọ́dọ̀ pọ́nlé dáadáa. Àwa lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ a kí bàbá wa olórí Yorùbá Nation tí a mọ̀ sí bàbá wa Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè. Àmọ́ ká tó mẹ́nu lọ sọ́dọ̀ bàbá wa Adébánjí Akíntóyè, a rí ìkéde kan tó jáde látara tí bàbá wa àwọn Afẹ́nifẹ́re tí wọ́n sọ ní ìjọ Tuesday. Kí ni wọ́n sọ? Ẹ jẹ́ ká kà á ní èdè òyìnbó, àwa ṣe àyàngbìfọ̀ lédè Yorùbá. Pa Adébánjọ and other Yoruba leaders are now calling for renewed hope. What is the renewed hope? Sorry, they are calling for renewed call, rather, for restructuring of Nigeria as solution to the recurring problems. Do you think that the present administration of President Bola Tinubu will listen to some of these elder statesmen? Or do you think that he's just going to bluff? Do you think that restructure is the best option as against those that are asking for right to self-determination? According to the information that we heard on Tuesday at Musan Center, Onikan, the issue of restructuring was once again at the forefront of a discourse amongst prominent Yoruba leaders on Tuesday, who employed President Tinubu to look into the matter. A renowned Yoruba leader, including the leader of the Pan-Yoruba Social Political Organization, an organization known as Afenifere, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, the Director General of the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, known as Dawn Commission, Dr. Seyi Olaleye, also the chairman of the Voice of Reason, Mr. Olushola Adekunla, Dr. Segun Ayina, convened on Tuesday, urging President Bola Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to restructure Nigeria. Do you think that the President will restructure Nigeria? Let's hear from you in the comment section. According to them, this step will address most of the challenges facing the southwest of Nigeria today. The leaders made this call at the Goke Omishore annual lecture themed Southwest Regional Integration. The Dawn Commission approach organized by the VOR in Lagos. The celebration was in honor of Prince Nicholas Omishore. In tí wọ́n sọ níbẹ̀ ni pé àwọn bàbá wa tí a mọ̀ sí àwọn bàbá tó bẹ lábẹ́ Afẹ́nifẹ́re Pa Ayọ̀ Adébánjọ ní ọjọ́ Tuesday eléyìí tí ó kọjá lọ yìí, wọ́n sọ fún ìyẹn ààrẹ ìjọba Nàìjíríà tí a mọ̀ sí Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu pé kó gbé yẹ̀wò, kó wò ó ṣe nípa pé Nàìjíríà láti padà sí restructure, kí wọ́n dá padà sí bó ti ṣe wà tẹ́lẹ̀ ní 1960 tó a mọ̀ sí regional government, àbí kí wọ́n padà sí federal constitution. Mo wá ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa lórí ètò Star Radio UK tí a wà ní àṣálẹ́ yìí pé ìjẹ́ bàbá wa Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ìyẹn ààrẹ tìsín ìjọ máa gbọ́ràn sí wọn lẹ́nu. Kí lẹ̀yin rò sí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ yìí?
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. In your car, at home,
on your smartphone.
Wọ́n ní tí a bá fẹ́ rí ìlọsíwájú nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, tí a bá fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ó ní àṣeyọrí, kí ó ní ìdàgbàsókè, wọ́n náà fi tí wọ́n bá restructure Nàìjíríà. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i, tí àwọn bàbá Pa Ayọ̀ Adébánjọ tí wọ́n sọ ní ìlú Èkó ni wọ́n ti sọ ilé yìí. Kí lẹ̀yin rí sí i? Àti pé ǹjẹ́ ó ṣeé ṣe? Arákùnrin wa tí a sọ pé ó kú tí a mọ̀ sí Mohbad, ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Kí ló lè fa ikú ọmọ Yorùbá ní ọ̀dọ́? Àfi kí ọba Elédùmarè kó bá wa ṣe kíni, kó bá wa tẹ̀ sí afẹ́fẹ́ rẹ̀. nígbà tí mo gbọ́ lára àwọn orin tí ó ti kọ mo ní arákùnrin mọrin kan dáadáa báyìí àmọ́ bí kú bá dé kí la fẹ́ ṣe sí ẹ já gbọ́ lára orin tí ó kọ jáde kó tó di pé ọlọ́jọ́ dé ọmọ 27 years old ni bí a ti ṣe gbọ́ alẹ́ àná ni ó jáde láyé ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ orin Mohbad kọ́lọ́run bá kó foríjì kó tẹ sáfẹ́.
Wetin be this one like this? Been through many things, many gist. Oh, I still find my gist, you mother. Oh, you like see me, I know they see. Like say I know the yeah. Which kind person be this? Oh, wetin be this one like this? Been through many things, and like I ain't jealous. I think you make me friendly. Survivor, unique. Wetin be this one like this? Been through many things, many gist. Oh, I still find my gist, you mother. Oh, you like see me, I know they see. Like say I know the yeah. Which kind person be this? Oh, wetin be this one like this? Been through many things, and like I ain't jealous. I think you make me friendly. Survivor, unique.
Survivor. Gbogbo àná ni a fẹ́ survive àmọ́ tí ọlọ́jọ́ bá dé kò sí ní tí a máa ṣe sí. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún gbọ́ ẹyọ kan sí nínú ara àwọn orin tí ó ti ṣe kalẹ̀ kí Ọlọ́run ọba Elédùmarè wọn náà sì ní àwọn ẹbí ó sì ní ìyá. Wọ́n ní nígbà kan òun àti Naira Marley ni wọ́n jọ ń ṣe kíni ni wọ́n jọ ń ṣiṣẹ́ kó tó di pé òun náà wá lọ dá Libel company tẹ̀ sílẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú orin tó kọ tó ní ask about me ìyẹn Mohbad rather tí a mọ̀ sí orúkọ tí a mọ̀ sí ní eré ìdíje tó máa ń ṣe ní Mohbad bọ̀ orúkọ ìgangan ni wọ́n pè ní Ireolúwa Ọládìméjì Alọ́ba wọ́n ti sin sí ìlú Ìkòròdú lẹ́nìí kọ́lọ́run ọba Elédùmarè gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ mọ̀lẹ́bí àti àwọn tọ́jọ́ ń ṣiṣẹ́ kọ́lọ́run kó foríjì arákùnrin náà kó wá bá ń dúró ti gbogbo ẹ̀yìn tó kù náà. Ẹ já gbọ́ eléyìí tó pè ní ask about me. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí jẹ̀díjẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Kọ́lọ́run bá kó foríjì Mohbad tó jáde láyé lánàá ọmọ Yorùbá ni 1996 ni wọ́n bí ní ìlú Èkó ní June 8 kó tó di kó jáde láyé ní àná at the age of 27 years old. Lára àwọn orin tó ṣe ní 4 months ago òun náà lẹ́ ń gbọ́ yìí tí wọ́n ń pè ní ask about me ẹ bèrè nípa mi. Mohbad ní orúkọ ẹ̀.
Wọ́n ti lé mi gan lórí ọmọ lọ́rùn kò lè tú mi. Sékèsékè búlá, àti gẹ̀ẹ́sì máa múlá. Lọ́la pẹ̀lú náírà, ikú tó pààyà tíṣà. Ó lè pààrọ̀ nígbà kí ló ń folú ògbó. Ẹyẹ ló folú ògbó. Kí ló rí nílẹ̀? Àwọn èèyàn ló máa rí nílẹ̀. Má tẹ̀lé mọ́lẹ̀. Má tẹ̀jú ilẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀.
Tọ́ba sọ fún pé ó máa jáde láyé ní ìyẹn Mohbad á jiyàn á níṣẹ́ òun sì máa pẹ́ òun á dàgbà òun á dògbò ó ti lọ síbi tágbà ń rè Ọlọ́run ọba Elédùmarè kó bá wa foríjì ẹ yá gbádùn orin ẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú lórí ètò Yorùbá Nation Self-Determination òun náà la wà lórí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísìn. Mo kí gbogbo èyí tẹ́tí wọlé Sunky mo kí ẹ gbókè èyí tí ẹ wọlé láti Woolwich bàbá wa Triple DRS sọ pé Koiki Pa Adébánjọ knew that it cannot be possible instead of Pa to be calling spade a spade, beating around the bush. Why is Pa Adébánjọ Afẹ́nifẹ́re could not come out to support Pa Akintoye to promote Yorùbá Nation? Mo kí gbogbo èyí tí ẹ̀ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa sẹ́. Eléyìí ni ètò self-determination tó máa ń wáyé láti aago 2:30 tí a máa ń sọ èdè Yorùbá láti fi gbé àṣà kan, láti fi gbé èdè wa lárugẹ. Gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá ní òun ò fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà, ẹ̀tọ́ yín ni àmọ́ sẹ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká máa rántí pé àṣà àti ṣe ó wà lára ìdí tí a ṣe sọ pé èdè wa gangan ẹ ṣe gbogbo yín inú yóò dùn nígbà tá a gbọ́ ní Maryland ká tó máa sọ yẹn lọ ẹ jẹ́ agbádùn Mohbad lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i kọ́lọ́run ọba Elédùmarè kó máa bá ń foríjì gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n jọ ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n náà níyàwó kódà wọ́n náà ọmọ tó bí kò tí pé oṣù mẹ́fà ikú lóró ikú ní agbára kábíyèsí ẹ o. abẹ́rẹ́ orin tó ṣe ń dùn nọ́mínàmù gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá bàbá mi Ṣeun Ọláòyè sọ pé so painful for this guy èmi ò gbọ́ rí mo mọ ẹni tó ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀ rí ẹni tó ṣe máa ń sọ pé hey tí nǹkan burúkú bá ṣẹlẹ̀ gbogbo èèyàn ló máa mọ ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ èmi ò rò pé mo gbọ́ arákùnrin yìí rí lájọ tí ẹ mọ̀ pọ́wọ́ pọ̀ ní Nàìjíríà tó jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá orin Yorùbá náà dẹ̀ ni gbogbo wọn fi ń gbé ìgbésẹ̀ sókè gbogbo wọn àtàwọn ọmọ Ìgbò àtàwọn Haúsá tó ọ̀bá ẹ̀ tí fi Yorùbá sínú orin wọn orin yàn kì í blow kò kì í blow ara ìdí tá a ṣe sọ pé ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá ṣe jẹ́ ká kúkú wá dúró lójú kan gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè kan tó máa tẹ̀síwájú tí èdè àti àṣà tí wọ́n máa pọ́nlé dáadáa mo kí ìyá wa Chizzy I will rise shine for my light outcome wọ́n ní RIP ẹ jẹ́ ká túbọ̀ gbádùn orin yẹn díẹ̀ sí i arákùnrin ti lọ níta lè máa fi rántí ẹ̀ ní mo kí bàbá wa Ismail Gold mo wá kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń bẹ ní ìlú Ìkòròdú Ọlọ́run bẹ Elédùmarè abandúró tì yín arákùnrin tó kú náà kò ní wá jẹ́ tẹ̀mítẹ̀mí àtúnirírú ẹ̀ mọ́ ikú ọmọ kékeré Mohbad èmi sọ pé ó dàbọ̀ ó di gbére ó di kíni ó di ojú oorun kọ́lọ̀ wá bandúró tì ìyàwó tó ní ikú lóró ọmọ kékeré tó tún bímọ kékeré báwo ni ìtọ́jú ẹ̀ gbogbo ẹni tó bá mọ mọ̀lẹ́bí náà ẹ bá kí wọn dáadáa pé àwa lórí ètò Star Radio UK Naija Voices orúkọ tèmi ni Ọláyọmí Kóìkì èmi ò mọ̀ rí o àmọ́ sẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá náà ni ẹni tó bá dẹ̀ ti jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá gbogbo àná láti mọra wa rí ẹ yá gbádùn orin ẹ̀sìn ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú.
Àwílò ló kún bá fún mi lọ́wọ́ mi bí ìjà ẹsẹ̀ kí ṣe kàṣà kàṣà blaka òkun bá fi ṣàtà step on the state àmọ́ pé ṣù dànù mo kàn ní sẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó dá mi lórí kan. They don't know, I don't go.
Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò mú kíyà mi ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wọn ní good evening Star Radio UK and good evening Naija Voices. Bàbá wa Ismail God ní may Almighty God don't people use death announce our glory. Wọ́n ní kọ́lọ́ má jẹ́ kí wọ́n fi ikú fi announce glory wa bí ti ṣe sọ èmi ò mọ́rí mò kódà mo gbọ́rúkọ ẹ̀ rí àfìgbà tí ó kú lánàá tí gbogbo ẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tátátátátáta lórí Twitter kódà tẹ́ bá lọ wo Burna Boy orí life ló wà tí Burna Boy sọ pé who die I dey say RIP Mohbad who die ikú lóró ikú ọmọ 27 years old kábíyèsí ẹ o. mo kí ẹ ìjáyà mo mọ̀ pé òun bẹ lórí ètò ní gbogbo ìgbà ọba Elédùmarè abandúró tiẹ̀ ohun yẹn nìyẹn the voice of the Yoruba people tẹ bá ń gbọ́hùn ìjáyà nínú gbogbo àwọn ọdíò kéékèèké tó bá ń release ẹ bá máa pín káàkiri nítorí pé ọ̀rọ̀ ń bẹ nínú nǹkan tó ń sọ Yorùbá nation tá à ń sọ iṣẹ́ lára tá à ń sọ ni pé àná náà wá kíkanjú ọmọ bíi Mohbad tó kù yìí àtàwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ tó sì ń ṣiṣẹ́ àmọ́ṣẹ́ àní ẹ bá wa gbóhùn sókè ẹ̀yin olórin yìí ẹ bá wa fi lyrics kọ Yorùbá nation jáde kí gbogbo àwọn tó ń fọ́lọ̀ yín kọ́ lè mọ̀ pé self determination kò ń ṣe crime gbogbo àgbáyé làwọn ọmọ kéékèèké àwọn actresses àwọn actor àwọn olóṣèré gbogbo yín là ń sọ fún but ẹ sọ pé Nàìjíríà lè fẹ́ tó kọ́lọ́ọ̀ba kò foríjì Mohbad ẹ jẹ́ agbádùn orin yẹn délẹ̀ ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i.
They don't know, I don't go. They want know, Kilo papa,
àbẹ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n tó ṣe sọ ó ní wọ́n fẹ́ ká àwọn ọbẹ̀ yẹn ọpọ́n ti sún finally this was 4 months ago lórí YouTube channel ẹ̀ ọ̀lẹ́ ní ó ti di tí wọ́n ń pè ní kódà wọ́n ti gbé sínú ilẹ̀ mò ń gbọ́ bá ṣe ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀ bá wọn ní ayé náà lélẹ́yìí tá à ń sọ fáwọn olóṣèlú wa pé àná ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ Yorùbá nation ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbé lárugẹ ẹ jẹ́ ká present velvet divorce tí kò ní sí ìjà tí kò ní sí wàhálà tólúkálukú máa lọ nílùú ẹ̀ ká sì máa jẹ́ neighbor fáwọn Biafra a máa jẹ́ neighbor fáwọn neighbors wa tó wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ wa àtàwọn tó wà lókè ọya àwọn Yorùbá politicians sọ pé àsìkò tí tó Mohbad àwa ń kí ẹ látòrí Star Radio pé tó ó dọ̀run re o. tó ibi tá a máa fi sí nìyẹn fún Mohbad kọ́lọ́ọ̀ba kó foríjì lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ jẹ́ ká tún padà sórí ilé ìmúpọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
parun àṣà Yorùbá ò gbọ́dọ̀ pa.
gbogbo ẹni tí kò bá fẹ́ mọ̀ nípa Yorùbá nation bí a fún ìdí kan àbí ìdí kejì ẹ gbọ́ rí ẹ tẹ̀mọ́ tó ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ wá ń wò ó pé kí náà ń sọ àwọn òrán pè ní Yorùbá nation táwọn ilé ìfẹ́ àtàkì gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ni tí wọ́n ń jà fún pé kí ìjọba kó wálẹ̀ ni ẹ kò yé yín dáadáa ni lábẹ́ àṣẹ bàbá wa alànà Pọfẹsọ Adébánjí Akíntóyè àti àwọn bàbá bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ tí wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ takuntakun bàbá Akíntóyè kò bá Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu jà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kò bá federal government jà in tí bàbá Akíntóyè ń béèrè fún ni pé the right of the Yoruba people must be respected ẹ jẹ́ kí wọ́n fún wọn ní ẹ̀tọ́ wọn gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe fún wọn lẹ́tọ̀ wọn nígbà Soviet Union gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ti ṣe fún wọn lẹ́tọ̀ wọn káàkiri àwọn ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú ẹja àgbádùn eléyìí náà ń pè ní ìdíje àti àṣà àti ìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tó ń bọ̀ ní gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ní oṣù tó ń bọ̀.
tiwa kò ní lè parun àṣà Yorùbá ò gbọ́dọ̀ parun YNFF board of trustees náṣọ nígbà wá ìdíje àṣà wa.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni àṣà àti ìṣe wa ò ní parun láíláí ìdí nìyí tí YNFF board of trustees ṣe ń ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ eré ìdíje àṣà àti ìṣe Yorùbá nípínlẹ̀ 8 ilẹ̀ Kogi Kwara Èkó Ọ̀ṣun Oǹdó Èkìtì Ọ̀yọ́ àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tí ìdíje bí ayò ọlọ́pọ́n ìjàkadì ijó ìbílẹ̀ ìdíje ẹwà àti bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ yóò ti máa wáyé ọ̀sẹ̀ kẹta nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án nìdíje ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yóò máa wáyé àwọn tó bá gbégbá orókè ló pegedé fún àṣekágbá nínú oṣù kẹwàá ẹni sọ lẹ́nu sàpò ìyàtọ̀ odò tó bá gbàgbé orísun ṣetán láti parun ní ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọ gbárùkù ti díje àṣà àti ṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn yìí fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé tàbí ẹ fẹ́ sonígbọ̀wọ́ tàbí olùrànlọ́wọ́ ẹ lè kàn sí Mr. Olú lórí +44 73 93 15 98 82 tàbí T-Best lórí +2348 16 04 95 979 Mr. Wasiu Aina +134 7500 9472 Ajia Queen Ara +44 7946 313160 Mrs. Roslyn +1416 992 2189. aṣọ ìbílẹ̀ nìkan la yàn láàyò níbi àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí ìdíje àṣà àti ìṣe ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹlẹ́kùnjẹkùn ọdún 2023 YNFF board of trustees ó ní àṣà àti ìṣe wa ò ní parun láéláé.
àṣà àti ìṣe wa kò ní parun láéláé bí àti ṣe wá ń ṣe àwọn ìkéde wọ́n fẹ́ ká tún lọ díẹ̀ ká béèrè pé ṣé ó jẹ́ kí ọmọ Yorùbá wa máa tún máa jìyà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá gbogbo ala ti rí bí ètò ṣe ń lọ pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ Tani Ọlọ́run ẹ wá rí i pé ó dàbí ìgbà tá a bá ní ṣé wọ́n ń ṣe ètò yẹn láti fẹ́ frustrate àbí pé kí ló dé tó bá tẹ̀ wá ṣe ẹ̀ lóòótọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni we have a lot of great musicians tí wọ́n ti dárúkọ wọn ní Davido Àṣàkẹ́ Wizkid Ọlámídé Burna Boy Tiwa Savage Zazu Naira Marley wọn lè gbóhùn sókè lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation Yorùbá nation is the only solution. Now ẹ jẹ́ ká gbẹ́nulé ọ̀rọ̀ Tani Ọlọ́run díẹ̀ nítorí pé ìdájọ́ Tani Ọlọ́run kéṣẹ̀ wọ́n tún sún síwájú títí di on the 19th. lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ béèyàn bá ṣẹ̀ inú state tó bá ti ṣẹ̀ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ti ṣe kí ni kọ́ ti ṣẹjọ́ náà kí ló wá dé tó fi di pé wọ́n mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ gbúdá ti ìlú Ìbàdàn tó bá tẹ̀ wá ṣẹ̀ lóòótọ́ pé n tó ń sọ kò tẹ́yìn lọ́rùn kí lẹ wá gbé láti ìlú Ìbàdàn ẹ̀yin ò ṣe jẹ́ kó ṣe ẹjọ́ yẹn nínú state yẹn ẹ ṣe wá ru ẹjọ́ yẹn lọ sí Kwara state nílùú Ìlọrin lọ́hùn nítorí pé tí kò bá sì dì àwọn àgbàlagbà ní obìnrin ò kì í jẹ́ kúmólú mo tún béèrè lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wo gan ni Tani Ọlọ́run ṣe tó fi wá di pé àwọn lọ́ọ̀yà tí wọ́n wá ń represented wọ́n wá ń sọ fún àwọn ilé ẹjọ́ pé ẹjẹ́ àgbà bẹ́ẹ̀lẹ̀ àmọ́ wọ́n fi jẹ́ kó gba bẹ́ẹ̀lẹ̀ nítorí pé fún ìdí kan àbí ìdí kejì tó bá gba bẹ́ẹ̀lẹ̀ á padà sí ìlú Ìbàdàn torí pé kò ń ṣe ọmọ Ìlọrin ọmọ ìlú Ọ̀yọ́ ni àmọ́ lára ta wá ń béèrè pé ṣé bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ tí gbogbo àwọn kan wá dákẹ́ tó sọ̀rọ̀ sí ǹjẹ́ eléyìí náà kì í ṣe injustice to one injustice to all kí ni Tani Ọlọ́run ṣe ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wo gan ló ṣe tó le tó yẹn ṣó pààyàn ni kò fàdíyà kò jalè okay defamation of character ìyẹn wá jẹ́ pé ṣé àwọn Boko Haram ta sọ pé jíyàn gbé tó ti gba 13 million tí wọ́n rẹ̀ títún àwọn èèyàn sílẹ̀ kí ló wá dé kí ni àwọn adájọ́ sọ látara àwọn tí wọ́n tún rìnrìn àjò lọ sí ìlú Ìlọrin láti fẹ́ fi lọ mọ ibi tí ìrìn àjò yẹn dé, kí ni wọ́n bá bọ̀, kí ni tí wọ́n sọ, ìtọ́sọ náà ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú ẹ̀.
Now, am I still recording? I bet you are still recording. Okay. Ẹ ṣé gan, mo fẹ́ appreciate gbogbo yín fún àdúrótì àti ìfọwọ́sọ̀kan àti ìfẹ́ tí gbogbo yín lò fún ọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn wa Afeez Talọlọ. Now, gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ṣe mọ̀ pé court ta lọ lánàá ó yàtọ̀ sí court ta lọ lẹ́nu rẹ̀. This is the Chief Magistrate Court níbi tí wọ́n ti kọ́kọ́ gbọ́ ẹjọ́ ẹ̀ ní on the 17th of October. Down bail yẹn la lọ argue lẹ́nu. Adájọ́ yẹn dẹ̀ listen sí wa, ó listen sí àwọn ọlọ́pàá náà. Wọ́n ti wá àjọ kéèsì ẹ̀ sí Tuesday 19th next week fún ruling. Lágbára Ọlọ́run mo kọ̀ wípé a máa gba béèlì Talọlọ. Now, nítorí pé àwọn ẹ̀sùn tó fi kàn àwọn ẹ̀sùn tó jẹ́ pé lábẹ́ òfin they are bailable offences. That's number one thing tí mo fẹ́ kẹ́ dìbò. Ó gbọ́ ẹ̀sùn tó fi kàn ìbanilórúkọ jẹ́ ni ìpàdé àpòpọ̀ àti pé a fẹ́ da omi àlàáfíà ìlú, gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó fi kàn they are offences that are bailable. Adájọ́ yẹn náà dẹ́gbà pé they are bailable offences. So ìgbàgbọ́ wa ní pé by next week Tuesday 19th a máa gba béèlì èèyàn wa Afeez Talọlọ. So ti yín the other case náà ta lọ lánàá just like bí a ṣe sọ lọ́yà ti sọ fún yín náà lánàá ti ṣàlàyé fún yín ta lọ ní Upper Area Court wọ́n ní ká fáìlì fún formal béèlì ẹ̀. So ọ̀nà ti ṣí pé láti béèrè fún béèlì Talọlọ. So ti yín unlike before n ta dẹ̀ gbé lọ sí court yẹn náà ní pé kò lè máa jẹ́jọ́ lọ́nà méjì, òfin kan fàyè gbà. It is sacrilegious and unacceptable that a defendant will be answering or answerable to two charges in two different courts, same charges, same set of charges, same set of offences in two different courts. Nǹkan tá a gbé lọ sí court yẹn ni pé n tí ẹ gbé wá síbí ó ti wà ní ọ̀hún, adájọ́ yẹn ò gbà, wọ́n ní pé okay. Nǹkan tá a gbé lọ sí court yẹn ni pé n tí ẹ gbé wá síbí ó ti wà ní ọ̀hún, adájọ́ yẹn ò gbà, wọ́n ní pé àwọn kéèsì àwọn ló kọ́kọ́ wáyé nítorí pé on the 11th of August ni wọ́n ti fáìlì kéèsì bí àti pé àwọn kan làwọn ọ̀dà pé kọ́ lọ gbé wá láti Ìbàdàn nítorí náà kan àwọn ní agbára láti try. Lẹ́yìn la wá béèrè fún ìbéèrè la wá béèrè fún béèrè àwọn ti béèrè fún béèrè àti onídùúró fún wọ́n dẹ̀ ti fún wa ní déètì pé ká file application wa ká wá mú un. So bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo fẹ́ appreciate in spite of all the provocation àti harassment tá a rí lánàá, inú mi dùn pé you are highly tolerant. Inú mi dùn pé bí ẹ jẹ́ kí ìbínú àti ìrúgasókè látọ̀dọ̀ wa kí kó fa riot torí tí wọ́n fẹ́ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ lánàá kò ṣẹlẹ̀ kò dẹ̀ tí bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ náà lọ. Ẹ ṣe gan mo dúpẹ́. Thank you very much.
Afẹ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí ìmọ̀ràn ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ wa dé dúró yìí jẹ́ ètò àti rí pé on the 19th ni àfẹ́gbọ́n kan tí adájọ́ fẹ́ sọ fún wa nípa bẹ́ẹ̀ on the 20th dẹ̀ ni adájọ́ tàná tí àná mú fún wa nísìnyí kí làdájọ́ pé tá a bá fà tó bá jọ the 20 yẹn kì í ṣe pé adájọ́ ọ̀tún ọdún náà 20 náà yóò tún fún wa ní ànúdá date pé òun náà sọ̀rọ̀ tó bí ìdúró nítorí bí títẹ̀.
ṣe rí torí ẹ̀ la ṣe pè wọ́n ní olúwa mi my lord agbára wọn pọ̀ òfin ìdẹ̀ ló fún wọn ní agbára wọ́n lè jókòó lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ kan ní lórí bẹ́ẹ̀lì tí ẹ apply fún ẹ lọ mú onídùúró méjì wá tó nílé nílọrin tó ní gbogbo nǹkan báyìí kó lè fún bẹ́ẹ̀lì lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ohun tá à ń pè ní bench ruling ó lè wáyé agbára wọn kan wọ́n lè ní ẹ padà wá ńjọ́ kejì excuse me wọ́n lè ní ẹ padà wá ńjọ́ kejì ẹ wá gbà ruling so èyí tí ó ṣe pàtàkì jù ní ti ọjọ́ Tuesday ti 19 yẹn ẹ jẹ́ ká gba bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ṣe pé nígbà tá a bá gba bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá fún wa ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ní 19 tó bá di 20 àtẹ̀lé sọ fún ilé ẹjọ́ náà bá kóòtù di ọ̀dà àwọn àbá ń sọ yẹn àwọn náà ti fún wa bẹ́ẹ̀ lánàá wọ́n ti fún wa bẹ́ẹ̀ lánàá bá àti perfect bẹ́ẹ̀ in fact àti fẹ́ perfect bẹ́ẹ̀ ó lè wáyé bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn gbogbo nǹkan ẹ jẹ́ ká fi sí Ọlọ́run ṣọ́ wa dìgbà náà lọ. Mo gbàgbọ́ pé tí wọ́n bá sá lọ lógún ọdún ọjọ́ kan lòtítọ́ máa bá ẹ jẹ́ ká gbà bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣáde tí mú ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ní o ẹ ṣé.
Òun náà ni a ti gbọ́ láti ìdájọ́ tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ àbí lórí ẹjọ́ tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ láti ara Tani Ọlọ́run tí wọ́n jí gbé nílùú Ìbàdàn. Ara ǹdí ta ṣe sọ pé tá bá gba orílẹ̀-èdè tiwa lóòótọ́ ẹni tó bá ní ó ṣẹ̀mí ó ti di dandan pé kó gbé ẹ lọ sílé ẹjọ́ kò wá ń ṣe pé kó wá gbé ẹ lọ sílé ẹjọ́ nítorí pé stéètì kan wọ́n ń fi pàdípàdí wọ́n jọ ń finú jọkùn láàrin àwọn and it's an ongoing case so I don't want to really interfere torí pé nídùú wa níbí báyìí tí kéèsì bá wà ní court pé láwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí a lè sọ ó dẹ̀ lára àwọn tá a lè sọ ara ìdí tí àwọn ò ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ púpọ̀ ní lórí látara pé àwa ń follow protocol bí nǹkan ṣe ń work nílùú òyìnbó tèmi gbé bọ̀ ìyẹn wá ní pé ká má mẹ́nu bà á àwọn tó ń ṣe kéèsì tí wọ́n ń sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí níbi tẹ́ bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn lọ́ọ̀yà àti àwọn judge tí wọ́n ń ṣẹjọ́ àwọn náà máa gbọ́n tá à ń sọ wọ́n á dẹ̀ máa fi ṣe kí ni wọ́n á máa fi ṣe bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ so bí kéèsì bá ń lọ lọ́wọ́ nílùú òyìnbó ó níwọ̀nba tí o lè sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí tó tẹ́ bá rí i pé fúndì kan gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ kéèsì Tani Ọlọ́run púpọ̀ lórí platform wa nítorí pé àwa ṣì ń respect àwọn tó ń dájọ́ yẹn tó bá wá dájọ́ yẹn tán we can review it but for now àwọn agbẹnusọ tí wọ́n lọ sí ìlú Ìlọrin látara àwọn tí wọ́n ń bá wa ṣiṣẹ́ tó jẹ́ correspondent wa tí wọ́n travel lọ sí Ìlọrin àwọn ni wọ́n fún wa ní clip yẹn adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn ẹ jẹ́ ká tó wá padà sórí nítorí a ní 20 minutes tó kù ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ sórí àwọn Biafra ká gbọ́ kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ látọ̀dọ̀ tiwọn náà látara pé àwọn náà ń béèrè fún ẹ̀tọ́ wọn lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí gbogbo ẹni tó bá fẹ́ mọ̀ nípa ìrìn àjò Yorùbá Nation ẹ tẹ̀síwájú kẹ́ lọ sórí www.ysdm.org látara bẹ̀ gbogbo ohun tó yẹ kẹ́ mọ̀ nípa ìrìn àjò Yorùbá Nation àti ibi tó dé àti ibi tó kù sí ẹ máa bá wọn nínú sáìtì wọn níbẹ̀ tẹ́ bá wá fẹ́ gbọ́ gbogbo ohun tó ń lọ dáadáa lórí Yorùbá Nation òun ṣe èyí táwọn tí wọ́n ń sọ̀rọ̀ ṣúkúṣúkúṣúkúṣúkúṣúkú ní àtàrà àwọn blogger àbàwọn vblog torí pé social media táwọn lò lẹ́nìí ẹlòmíà ní òun ti gbọ́n kankan nígbà tẹ́ bá lọ wo ohun tó gbọ́ yẹn ẹni yẹn kọ́ lo headline ni anybody dẹ̀ lè lo any headline wọ́n lè sọ fún yín pé a ti gba Yorùbá Nation ẹ wá béèrè pé ládùúgbò wo ló gbà sí ọ̀nà bo ló gbà sí ojú olórí èwo ló gbà sí tójú Ẹlẹ́gbà ni ṣékìtì ni ṣé Ìkẹjà ti Amẹ́ríkà ni àbí tí Òkòkò Michael torí pé ó dùn sọ lẹ́nu pé a ti gba country ẹ wá gba country náà tán fáwọn tí wọ́n ń kéde fáwọn ti gba ìjọba tiwọn láti látọdún 2020 òmìnira 2020 ẹ ṣáà ti mọ arábìnrin yẹn akọ àkútè rẹpẹtẹ short woman devil òmìnira 2022 ẹ wá béèrè pé àdúgbò wo ló gbà sí ó ti sá lọ báyìí nísìnyí àìtí ìrojú ẹ̀ mọ́ nísìnyí ó wá níjọba délé ń bọ̀ ẹ wá wo gbogbo àwọn tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àwọn èèyàn jankan bí àwọn máa lé gbogbo àwọn yẹn kúrò lórí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni wọ́n wá ṣe adelé lé wọn lórí ẹ bá ti ń gbọ́ àwọn mídíà wọn ẹ máa wò gágá bí ìgbà tí wọ́n sì ń ṣe awareness ni any real deal lára tó sọ so tẹ bá wo tó ń sọ 2022 òmìnira 2022 gbogbo ilẹ̀ ti mọ àwọn arábìnrin náà but ẹ bá fẹ́ mọ òtítọ́ ẹ wá tẹ̀lé home based media òun lẹ máa gbọ́ Yorùbá home based media àti Yorùbá world media àtàwọn kankan tí wọ́n wà independent away from those block torí pé kò ń ṣe gbogbo media ló wà lábẹ́ àwọn media méjèèjì tí mo dárúkọ yẹn tí kò bá wá yé ẹ̀yin wá lè kàn sírò àwa báyìí info@koikimedia.com láti lè béèrè ìbéèrè wọn ní ẹni tó bá béèrè kò ní ṣìnà tí kò bá yé o lè tún béèrè lọ́wọ́ wa lótìtọ́ àwọn kan lè sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ìyẹn bàbá wa P-Square wọ́n ní Biafra these people don't know what they want now push the tribunal the next thing now is Biafra well bí a wọ́n rò pé Peter Obi máa wọlé ẹ mọ̀ pé Peter Obi ìyẹn gbé wọn ní mugun ẹ mọ̀ pé Peter Obi ìyẹn ti gbé wọn ní mugun pé òun máa fún wọn ní president kò wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ wá jẹ́ ká wá gbọ́ in tí àwọn náà fi sọ ìyẹn ní oṣù yìí ní on the 18th gẹ́gẹ́ bí in tí ẹni tó ń darí wọn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tí a mọ̀ sí the government in exile prime minister ìyẹn Simon Ekpa kí làwọn in tó ń sọ ní wákàtí àwọn communique kan jáde láti ọ̀dọ̀ tiwọn tí ó yẹ kí a fi tó yín létí kó tó di pé a máa mú ètò yìí wá sílẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí tó bá jẹ́ pé lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ yín lẹ máa darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ètò yìí ló ń pè ní Naija Voices tó ń wá sórí orí ajánufára gbogbo ta tí ń gbọ́ ẹlòmíì ń gbọ́ lórí Instagram ẹlòmíì ń gbọ́ lórí TikTok ẹlòmíì wà lórí Twitter space ẹlòmíì lórí YouTube kódà inú apps lẹlòmíì ti ń gbọ́ kí ni Simon Ekpa kí lòun sọ ní ara tó sọ ni pé lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí ó wà live so ẹ jẹ́ ká kàn gbọ́ díẹ̀ látara emergency briefing tí ó ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ bí a ti ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí ká kàn gbọ́ slip of it ká tó di pé àwa máa tẹ̀síwájú kọ́nà fún ọ̀nkẹ́ ìyẹn brother wa Mohbad Simon Ekpa ó ń ṣe emergency broadcast lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká kàn gbọ́ díẹ̀ ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì ló máa fi sọ̀rọ̀ àwa bá ṣe máa ṣe áyàn gbífọ̀ ẹ̀ ká tó máa lọ ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ ohun tó ń sọ ní ìwọ̀nba díẹ̀ ní kíákíá. mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí nígbà tí a bá ń dúró kí nẹ́tíwọ́ọ̀kì yẹn kó píìkì signal láti ọ̀dọ̀ tiwọn lọ́hùn bóyá ká ṣe báyìí torí pé eléyìí ó ń fà kúrúkẹrẹ torí pé iṣẹ́ pọ̀ lẹ́nu àwọn machine tá à ń lò níbí so bóyá ká lọ wá látara ìbò míì tí ó máa jẹ́ kó yá ní kíákíá torí pé òun ni adarí àwọn Biafra nígbà tí wọ́n ti mú Nnamdi Kanu sí àhámọ́ lẹ́nujọ́ mẹ́ta Simon Ekpa òun ló wá ń ṣe gbogbo ètò tó yẹ kó ṣe kí ni ó ń sọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ìyẹn náà ni a fẹ́ gbọ́ nísìn àmọ́ I find it difficult láti connect torí pé it is network yẹn kò jíjẹ kó kákọ̀ gbọ́ nǹkan tó ń sọ díẹ̀ náà ni but let's hope it will come up in just about a few minutes if not we will see if we can bring the signal from another angle. mo wá kí gbogbo wa tí ẹ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa látara pé olúkálukú wa ń kọ́ ni a fẹ́ in tó dáa gbogbo ta wá ń fẹ́ tó dáa yẹn ẹ jẹ́ ká máa rántí pé tí a bá ṣe ìgbìyànjú tó pọ̀ lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbìyànjú yẹn máa pọ̀ a máa béèrè ẹ̀tọ́ wa ẹ̀tọ́ yẹn wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ wá fi dá wa lóró torí pé kí ni ẹ̀tọ́ tá à ń béèrè báwa ṣe ń béèrè náà kò ń ṣàwa nìkan là ń béèrè a máa gẹ́tì signal látara tí Simon Ekpa tó ń sọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nítorí pé a ti rí signal yẹn láti ara ibòmíì so gbogbo tá à ń béèrè kò tí ì le tó pé ìjọba là ń bájà now ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ gbọ́ díẹ̀ látara tí ìyẹn Simon Ekpa tó ń sọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ìyẹn.
At the road block and checkpoint, please stop doing that. These are in that road block and road checkpoint. That's where they enforce of the disappearance of Biafrans. every time. Our youth are disappearing right there in the checkpoint. And this has happened for many years. And this time around, we have come to put a stop to it. They use the checkpoint to commit crime, to kill our people, extort money, dehumanize us, do all manner of atrocities in those checkpoints. And this time around, the Biafra Liberation Army have taken it upon themselves as a commitment to make sure we get rid of all those checkpoints and roadblocks in Biafra land. Thank you for listening. And now I have to leave. May God bless Biafra. May God bless you. May God bless the Biafra Republic government in exile. May God bless the de facto government. May God bless Mazen and Kano. And may God bless all those working assiduously for the interest of Biafra. Biafra first. May God bless you.
Well, at least amúdíẹ̀ lára ètò sọ ní orí emergency broadcast tí ó ṣẹ̀ sọ ní àìpẹ́ yìí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo wa bí a ti ṣe fẹ́ wá mú ètò yìí wá sílẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwa tí a wà lábẹ́ bàbá wa Professor Banji Akintoye ìyẹn the oracle of our time gbogbo àwa tí a gbàgbọ́ in his leadership ẹ jẹ́ ká túbọ̀ ṣe kí ni ká má relent ká má dáwọ́ dúró ká má bá iṣẹ́ yẹn lọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ó ti ṣe ń lọ nítorí pé ètò ní gbogbo nǹkan ló ní ètò yẹn dẹ̀ máa ṣe kí ni ó máa padà wá sí ìmúṣẹ bí a ti ṣe fẹ́ gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n wá ń parọ́ pé àwọn ti gbọ́ ètò tí wọ́n kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan tá a máa ṣe sí àwọn ò ní láti bá wọn gbé ohun kankan ju pé ká máa wò wọ́n ràn ìtọ́ba náà fẹ́ ṣe ọ̀wọ́ ṣáàdí wa lọ́wọ́ àwọn ò lè dí wọn lọ́wọ́ but máa gbọ́ tó máa sọ̀rọ̀ oríṣiríṣi ọ̀rọ̀ sí àwọn tí ó jẹ́ adarí wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí bàbá wa alànà Professor Banji Akintoye àtàwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ tó pọ̀ nítorí pé kò ń ṣe bàbá Akintoye nìkan ni ó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lábẹ́ bàbá Akintoye àti wá ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ẹgbẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí Global Directorate tí wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ takuntakun gẹ́gẹ́ bí Yoruba One Voice tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ takuntakun gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn oríṣiríṣi ìfẹ́lódùn ìgbòwódè oríṣiríṣi ẹgbẹ́ ìyàwó Janice Fashakin àtàwọn mídíà àtàwọn bàbá bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ àdẹ̀sí ní ìlànà náà so tí èèyàn kan bá wá sọ pé òun nìkan èmi nìkan lọ́lọ́run fún ní láti bá ròyìn bẹ́ẹ̀ argue irú àwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan wọ́n ti máa ní mental problem but mental problem tán níyẹn òun ṣe gbogbo èèyàn ló máa ń tètè rí so tíyàn bá dẹ̀ ní mental problem tí kò bá rí ìtọ́jú nítorí pé inú Nàìjíríà tíyàn bá wà tó ní mental problem tí kò dẹ̀ rí ìtọ́jú a jẹ́ pé irú èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ tètè sá fún wọn so tẹ bá ń gbọ́ tí wọ́n ń fohùn lẹ̀ wọ́n release àwọn audio àjàkálẹ̀ virus wọ́n put allegation gbogbo tó ń sọ yẹn kò kúrò láàrin cycle wọn àwa tí a jẹ́ ti bàbá Akíntóyè tí ẹ̀ ń bá wọn gbé àwọn ló dàbí àtẹ́yẹ pé wọ́n ń gbọ́n tán sọ kò sẹ́ni tó ń gbọ́n tán sọ torí pé ta bá lọ wo lẹ́ni tílẹ̀ ṣù yìí tí bàbá Akíntóyè bá release statement kan ó ti di dandan pé kí ìjọba Nàìjíríà kó respond lé lórí tí Ìgbòho bá respond lálẹ́ yìí ó ti di dandan pé kí wọ́n respond lé lórí bí Simon Ekpa ṣe parí ètò báyìí ká tó rí wákàtí kan gbogbo mídíà máa gbé so tí àwọn bá máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ láti ara tí wọ́n ń sọ tí kò dẹ̀ kúrò láàrin inú section wọn yẹn ṣẹ̀rí pé kò make any sense lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ you are not getting a country tí ẹ̀ ní policy tẹ̀ fẹ́ prepare sílẹ̀ torí pé Nàìjíríà gan nígbà tó máa ṣe Nàìjíríà ó láwọn ètò tó tò kalẹ̀ tó fi sọ pé the 1914 amalgamation àwọn kan tún ní àwọn ti rí dọ́kúmẹ́ǹtì yẹn ó rà pé inú àkàrà inú pépà tó máa ń to àkàrà sí ẹ̀wọ̀n pé tíyàn bá lọ ra àkàrà èyí náà àwọn pépà yẹn bí ànúbẹ̀ lọ ti ka declaration ni tí wọ́n ní àwọn ti gba ìlú gbogbo yẹn it is not something that you should be concerned about ẹ̀yin ìyá wa ẹ̀yin bàbá wa ẹ jẹ́ kí n tún ṣàlàyé fún yín ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà ẹ máa ráwọn èèyàn tó máa lo headline yẹn ó lè wà convincing kò mí pé headline yẹn ó wà authentic gbogbo tẹ bá fẹ́ mọ̀ nípa Yorùbá nation pátá tí ẹ bá wà convinced pé àbí confused rather pé kò yé yín eléyìí tí mo tún wá kà yìí ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣe rí ni ṣé bàbá Akíntóyè sọ pé òun ṣe Yorùbá nation mọ́ ni ṣé Ìgbòho ti dáwọ́lẹ̀ ni ìtẹ̀mọ́ wá ṣe ni pé àbọ̀rú àbòyè ẹ wá ṣe kí ni ẹ wá béèrè mo kí ìyá wa grandma Lé Àjàyí mo kí àròlé Oòduà ẹ wá lọ béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n nímọ̀ a máa kẹ́ ẹ lọ sí Abẹ́òkúta fún wọn náà máa gbé lọ sí Arò kò jẹ́ ká gbé òun lọ sáró náà ni a fẹ́ gbé lọ sáró kọ́ bá wa tọ́jú ẹ̀ àmọ́ bó ṣe ń sá nìyẹn kùrùkẹrẹ ẹ̀yẹn ló ṣe máa ń rìlíìsì ọ́díò so gbogbo àwọn àjàkálẹ̀ fáírọ́ọ̀sì yẹn gbogbo àwọn yẹn ẹ fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ gbogbo allegation tó bá put out ẹ̀yẹn má wọ̀rí ẹ jẹ́ káwa ṣe kí ni lótìtọ́ ó wù gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé kí Yorùbá nation yẹn ti délé ní gbọ́ kò ń ṣe 2022 kò sí kankan tó ń jẹ́ 2022 fraud ni ok ẹ rántí pé arákùnrin wa Rahman Hushpuppi ṣe rántí pé ó máa ń tẹ̀ sí wa lójú kódà tó bá ń jẹ oúnjẹ báyìí bíyàn bá lọ wo láìfẹ̀ wàá fẹ́ lè kú sínú láìfì yẹn pé ìgbádùn ni bọ̀bọ́ ìgbádùn àṣé òlé ni àṣé frosta ni àṣé ẹni tó ń gba owó lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n ti ṣe wàhálà tó ní owó àwọn agbowó yẹn ó fi ṣe kí ni ó wá fi ń sọ pé òun lòun lówó yẹn bó ṣe ń lọ lórí at least àtẹ̀rí yẹn but eléyìí kùkùté wọ́n ń pè ní 2x2 tó máa kun powder sójú rẹpẹtẹ báyìí tó jáde tí ó sọ fún yín pé olè ló wà níbẹ̀ kò sí nǹkan kan tó jẹ́ 2022 ok but ó fẹ́ tó yá wọn ẹ mọ̀ pé ó máa tó pọ́dún kan nísìn àti wà ní September àwọn ojú ọ̀pá wà àwọn ojú ń pọ́n torí pé adelé tọ́nà ń bọ̀ yẹn wọ́n mọ̀ pé kò lè rìn débi kankan ṣe rí inú mídíà àwọn yẹn náà lọ́tí máa sọ pé adelé ń bọ̀ wá dẹ̀ máa ṣàdúrà adelé ń bọ̀ adelé wọ́n lè náà wà là ń dìlé adelé irọ́ ni kò sí nǹkan kan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ àwa kọ́ là ń dìlé adelé adelé wọn ẹ jẹ́ kó dìmú níbi tó wà yẹn mo wá farabalẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá wa ẹ̀yin ìyá wa ẹ̀yin ọlọ́pọlọ là ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ àbá wọn tí wọ́n ń tó sọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n wà lábẹ́ ètò àwọn oníkan mo kí bàbá wa Sàn of Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ mo kí bàbá wa àwọn ọba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá bá ti ṣe ń kí àwọn ọba aládé mo kí bàbá wa Ọ̀jájá the second mo kí gbogbo àwọn ọba ní gbogbo ìgbèríkè ẹ wá bá a máa sọ fáwọn ìjọba wa pé ààbò tó tọ́ tó péye kọjọ́ kọ́ bá wa ṣe fún àwọn èèyàn wa nítorí pé kí ni ẹja tún gbádùn eléyìí.
wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe jọ lọ́wọ́ ọba wọ́n ní kò lè pọ̀ sí i àwọn wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè pọ̀ sí i ọ̀rọ̀ ṣe wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi ṣe wọ́n ní kò sáyé lọ ọ̀rẹ́ ọ̀bọ̀
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni adelé irọ́ ló bá dé ó bẹ́tà kí wọ́n sì máa sọ pé àwọn ń ṣe awareness àti campaign tàbí kó sọ pé àwọn ti gba country bíá inú Ìdúmọ̀tà láàrin Mushin níbẹ̀ ni wọ́n gba country yẹn sí bí a ti ṣe wá ń gbéra láti máa lọ ẹ jẹ́ ká wá rántí pé gbogbo wa la níṣẹ́ tí a lè ṣe níwọ̀nba tí agbára wa bá pé bó bá jẹ́ pé kókò kọ́mẹ́ǹtì náà ni ààrẹ náà ni gbogbo èèyàn náà ló máa rí lọ́jọ́ iwájú nítorí gbogbo tá à ń ṣe yìí à ń fi ìtàn sílẹ̀ ni wọ́n á dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní àṣálẹ́ yìí lọ́mọdé lágbàlagbà èmi náà ni wọn ní fẹ́ lómi ṣe mí tó bá tún di ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ láṣẹ Èdùmàrè kẹtù jẹ́ ká pàdé nítorí pé bí Yorùbá nation tí à ń ṣe ìkéde yìí tí à ń sọ pé òun nìkan náà ni option tó wà lórí tébù tí a lè fi ṣe kíni tí a lè fi tẹ̀síwájú ẹ má yẹ kí ó sú wa ẹ má yẹ kó rẹ̀ wá let's remain focused mo kí Dr. Okedorun kò sí the Yoruba Central Office mo kí gbogbo àwọn tó wà nínú yonkan mo kí Pastor League mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá wa nínú Olúwa Prophet Ogundele mo wá kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà mo kí ọmọdé tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá mo kí àgbàlagbà tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àwọ̀ ò ní tẹ aṣọ àgbà mọ́lẹ̀ àmọ́ ẹni tí ó bá sọ̀rọ̀ tí ẹ ká fún lésì bí a ti ṣe fún wọn lésì yẹn ẹ rí i pé àtúnṣọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀mọ́ àti dá wọn lóhùn àti tẹ̀síwájú tiwa nìyẹn mo wá dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní gbogbo ìgbà lótìtọ́ kọ́lọ́n fún Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ṣe níjọba tó wà lórí ẹ̀ ọ̀tí táwọn sọ ni pé lẹ́yìn ọdún mẹ́rin á padà wá a tún dìbò fún fẹ́yìn tẹ́fẹ́ dìbò a tún ṣọdún mẹ́rin míì a ṣetán a tún padà lọ sílẹ̀ Haúsá àwọn bàbá wa pa Ayọ̀ Adébánjọ ní kí Bọ́lá Tinubu kọ́ kó tètè ṣe kíni kó dá Nàìjíríà padà sí ibi tó wà kó restructure comrade plan B òun sọ pé renew shege renew hardship not change kankan bí a ti ṣe ń sọ fún gbogbo wa ẹ jẹ́ ká fi ọkàn wa balẹ̀ bí àṣà bàbá wa olóyè Dr. Sunday Adéyẹmọ Ìgbòho Òòṣà a máa sọ pé ojú ló ń kán ìbòjí òun ń bọ̀ níbẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe sùúrù ohun gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lóòótọ́ kọ́ wà nínú Nàìjíríà kí ẹ rí ṣe kí ẹ rí jẹ kí ẹ rí mu kí ẹ bímọ kí àlàáfíà pẹ̀lú gúngùn bẹ níbẹ̀ àmọ́ bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ yìí Nàìjíríà kò lè lọ síwájú ó ti ṣe kíni ó ti mẹ́hẹ mo á dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ tó bá wa dẹ ètò ta lẹ́yìn gbogbo ẹ̀ la máa parí ànílé kọ̀ǹtínù kankan so tí a bá ti sọ pé ó dàárọ̀ o a jẹ́ pé lágbára Elédùmarè ó dàárọ̀ náà nìyẹn ẹ kúkú mọ̀ mí pé èyí tó pọ̀ láti ṣe lénìí èyí tó kù àtúbẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́la ẹni tí àbá wa dárúkọ pé ẹ gbórúkọ yín mo kí bàbá tó sì bí official living by his grace good evening big kadu good evening and for those of you that have got lost while I was speaking our beautiful language all we were saying there is nothing more than the fact that the leadership of Professor Adebanjo Akintoye and under his leadership we stand we will remain loyal with him we will remain hardworking for him because at 88 he should be resting but he has taken the mantle to save the Yoruba people from the dungeon of Nigeria. Nigeria is not working, but as many of you believe in it, there's not much we can say. And on that note, I will say good evening and good night. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and this has been Naija Voices every Wednesday, and I'll be back next week again for more program that is going to affect us, as we say, because when Nigeria is not working, it's affecting me, it's affecting you. We have to work very hard. Thank you so much from South Africa. So many proud people that are representing us in South Africa. We appreciate you. Good evening once again. Love to you all, Olawale and Labi, and the rest of you around the globe. To the government of Nigeria, we hope you will do the needful to rescue and save Nigerians that are living in a very strong hardship. Odaro, bye for now.
UK. This is Starr Radio UK. In your car, at work, at home,
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
in your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
The best radio show. The best radio show. The best radio show.
Broadcasting world
at home,
on your smartphone.
in your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
in your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.